Welcome everybody to the North Middlesex Regional School District School Committee meeting on April 12th, 2025. It is 6:02. I'm going to call the meeting to order. This session is being recorded. I'll have a roll call vote. Randy, Rush,
Here.
Keenan, Francois,
Here.
Jackie White,
Here.
Kim Craven,
Here.
Patrick McPhillips,
Here.
Alexander Benkuti. I'm going to get that right. Alexander,
I'm here.
thank you. Then we have several from administration. Would you guys like me to introduce
Lisa
you?
Bloom is in the waiting area, by the way.
Yeah, I
Okay.
promoted her. She's coming in.
Okay, thank you.
Would you guys like me to introduce who is all on the call? Or just
I
the
think we
committee
can probably
members?
do it when it's their opportunity to speak. If that makes
All
sense.
right. And Lisa Bloom is in the call as well. Lisa, we just took roll call.
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Thank you, everyone. All right. I'm going to take a motion for the consent agenda as presented. Or
I move that we take the consent agenda as presented.
all right.
Second.
Second. Okay, so that is Kim Craven and Patrick McPhillips. Any discussions on the consent agenda? All right. Then we take a roll call vote for this. Keenan? Francois?
Yes.
Patrick McPhillips?
Yes.
Kim Craven?
Yes.
You White?
Yes.
Randy Roush?
Yes.
Lisa Bloom?
Yes.
Alexander Benkuti?
Yes.
And myself, yes. All right, moving on to public comment. Robin, was there any public comment?
No, I didn't have anyone signed up for public comment.
All right. Then moving on to the chairperson report, I have a few announcements. First, I hope everyone is enjoying their summer. It is disappearing quickly, and soon we will be starting school again. So I first off would like to make a thank you to Dylan for watching us on YouTube. He came to me this summer during an event and said he watched us on YouTube and that we were celebrities for him. So all of you to say hi to Dylan, and he was very kind. And he's a young man, and it was very nice for him to do that, to follow us. Another announcement, we're looking to do our meetings in person. Look for more announcements to come out as we finish up that process. I'd also like to welcome Jackie White. She was appointed as a PEPRO representative, and I'd like her to introduce herself and say just a little bit about herself to everyone.
Thank you, Lisa. Hi, everyone. We're actually away on vacation, so thus the moose that you see behind me. Crazy turn of events. Yes, I know we had a member recently step down, so when the position did come open, I threw my hat into the ring again. So, Alex, good to see you here again. But yes, I am looking forward to serving. Again, I've got two kiddos who one has gone through the district already and is 19, currently at Middlesex Community, and another is going to be a junior this year. So looking forward to serving at least a 2-year term and ready to get going. Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you, Jackie. I also have another announcement. Carrie Battersby, the Ashby representative, has resigned. I received her resignation this morning. And so I did ask her if I could announce in a public meeting tonight that she has resigned, and she did say, give me that okay to do that. So Ashby will be looking for a new representative. Randy?
I'd also just like to say that I'd like to step down from the vice chair position.
Okay. All right, we'll handle that at the end of the meeting with. All right, going on. Superintendent, your report, please.
Just switching screens. Give me one moment, please. Okay, so I've got multiple things to report on. If it's okay, I'd like to report on them and then take any questions at the end, if that's acceptable. Just addressing first, we're preparing to close out FY 2025, and we did finish the year with just under $2.9 million in the black due to some significant cutbacks in the late winter and spring. This surplus, again, really reflects close fiscal management when it became clear that both FY 26, our current school year coming up, but also FY 27 would be a significant challenge. All of these funds will roll into E&D automatically. In addition, there were several other additional source of unanticipated revenue. We received just under $270,000 in miscellaneous revenue, but of that, close to $250,000 was from the Valley Collaborative, from tuitions, money returning to the district. That goes into E&D. Also, our Neshoba Minuteman Health Group, we received just over $1 million, and approximately half of that was put back into school choice revolving, which was used to assist with that transition, and the other half is going into E&D as dictated. And then we received close to $60,000 in Medicaid and just over $250,000 in investment income, and all of that goes into E&D. School choice, just to point out, is separate from E&D, but at this point, all of our remaining FY 25 funds and revenue is being moved into the excess and deficiency fund. What is unfortunate about this is that these funds cannot be utilized until that money is certified by the state, which generally does not happen until February. So that is something that we could potentially look at the end of FY 26 or possibly to assist with the FY 27 budget. So that is it on the FY 25 budget. Did want to connect with everyone regarding the high school football program. We did get word last week that with dropping numbers, we only had 14 students ultimately sign up for the program. It is something that is a concern statewide. It's not just happening here in NM. It is happening statewide, and it's really a combination of some of it is being attributed, according to the MIAA, to concussion issues, but most of it is really being attributed to the rise in club sports. Football is not the only program that is struggling. And by that, I mean many of the athletes that generally play football, basketball, ice hockey, lacrosse, and baseball players are oftentimes playing those sports now year round for a club team. They're able to play for the high school team in most cases in those particular sports, but generally speaking, club sports are having a significant impact on high school sports programming. Again, not just in NM, but across the state and across the nation for that matter, as many students are specializing in one sport now. So in talking with Groton Dunstable, their roster was also below 20. So we will be co-oping with them for the 2025 season. The hope was to get a press release out for that early last week, but the MIAA, who did tell us that they would have an answer, because it is something they have to vote on all co-op programs, last Wednesday did not give us official word until late this afternoon, about an hour before this meeting. So I'm sharing with everyone now. Essentially, Groton Dunstable has 4 home games this year. North Middlesex, because Groton Dunstable has more players, they have the ability to host the program. So we will have 1 home game with the possibility of more, depending upon weather, because they do not have a turf field. Again, the reason for the co-op is consistent with national trends in football due to the reasons I outlined. Last year, our roster ended up being 30 players, and by the time we got to our last game, we were down to 16 due to injuries and other reasons. But in addition to that, of those 30 players, 17 of them were seniors, and they have since graduated. As far as NM is concerned, Coach Rivers will be joining the Groton Dunstable staff. He will receive the full head coaching stipend, and he will serve as the primary liaison and point of contact for our student athletes and assist with transportation to and from practices in the afternoon. There will be, at this point, there does not appear to be a need for any additional stipends to be paid because the rest of the staff will be rounded out by GD. There has already been a pretty significant push from the community to see if something can be done to bring NM back, either in 2026, possibly 2027. And that is something that I am more than happy to work with Athletic Director DeMar, Principal Smith on, as well as with any community members that are interested in engaging in this push to, again, bring NM back to having its own independent program. But for now, that co-op agreement is a 2-year commitment. It is something that we can step out of after a year. But for now, we've been approved for a 2-year commitment to work with GD. Also wanted to talk a little bit about high school participation with some of the increased user fees. We do not have final numbers yet, but something that I do want everyone to pay close attention to, and I will share the final numbers once we have them. It's still relatively busy this time of year with students registering because many do wait until the last a couple weeks of registration, is that we are dropping in enrollment. And that is something we have seen coming. We are working on putting together something for the committee to show that the drop in enrollment is not just at the high school, but it's basically with some of the ebbs and flows we're seeing at particular grade levels. And we are down to 649 students at the high school, which also is playing a role in some of those lower football numbers and potentially some other areas as well. So it's a high school, I want to say 8 years ago when I came, was close to 850 students. And again, we have had some classes that are relatively large, some classes that are relatively small. And right now we are dealing with really 4 classes that have been small for quite some time. And it does appear as though North Middlesex is, as a district, has an aging population. And by that, I mean we have families that have sent kids to the school district, but they're also remaining in the school district. And it's something, it's a trend, again, that happens in other districts, other communities as well. And it's something that eventually will turn. But right now we are dealing with some low enrollment numbers. Also, I had mentioned to the committee, we had not tracked participation in extracurricular activities historically. That is something that Mr. DeMar will be monitoring moving forward. So that's something I'll be able to share with the committee as well come the end of the school year, and possibly over the course of the year as well, just to check in. Updating everyone on the Squannacook and Spalding Memorial School drop-offs, the elementary start times and length of the school day for the 2025-2026 school year. This will involve not necessarily a calendar change, but it does change the start and end times, which are part of the school calendar. We have worked on this with D-Bus. We've been working with D-Bus since the spring. And what we've been able to do is basically set up a 15-minute window from student arrival to student start time at all 3 of our elementary schools. The difference is that both Squannacook and Spalding, we have the students arriving at 8:50 and a planned start time for 9:05 a.m. in both buildings, where Varnum Brook is slightly different with a student arrival time at 8:45 and a start time at 9 o'clock. Dismissal times would be 3:10 for Squannacook and Spalding and 3:05 for Varnum Brook. So Varnum Brook is remaining the same. This will be added to the school calendar, provided it is approved by the committee tonight. So it is not something that you have to remember. It should be, again, if it's approved, it will be published ASAP and will be made available to the public, and it will be a part of the school district calendar for 25-26. Couple other issues I just wanted to update everyone on. We are looking at pursuing some career and technical education initiatives. I have met with Monty Tech. I met with them back on July 7th, and I attended a meeting with the Department of Ed back on August 4th. And I actually had the Department of Ed come to visit NM back in the spring. And we are going to look to pursue some of the grant money that's available. There's $100 million that's available at the state level, and they are looking to possibly award schools anywhere from $15 to $35 million for comprehensive high schools that are looking to add career and tech programs. But a lot of this is going to be based on the program type, the demand in the area, what do the wait lists look like, and then the regional needs. So our next steps will be to survey families in the district, collaborate with our member career tech schools, both Monty and Neshoba Tech, but more Monty because they do have a fairly large wait list, and that's what they're basing this money off of, and also coordinate and do some work with Mass Hire. The grant timeline is that we do have to submit a letter of intent to apply for the grant by September 15th, and all applications are due on October 31st, and awards will be announced on December 1st. This is a 3-year grant, and it's something that will end on June 30th, 2028. So it is something, again, based on the wait lists that exist at Monty Tech, we may be in a position to potentially add some programs and assist with those wait lists, not just to benefit students in the North Middlesex Regional School District, but also some of our communities out in the periphery as well would have the potential opportunity to come to the school district as well. And lastly, just 2 important trainings the administration has gone through. We had John Guilfoyle and Associates provide us with a special education training for administrators. There were 2 full-day trainings for us, and that was done with members of the Air Shirley team as well. That was done on July 30th and 31st. The sessions were interactive and covered a broad range of special education topics and other issues that offer really immediate practical value. And then on Thursday of this week, we are having a specialist come in from AI for Education to offer training to our administrative team on an overview of artificial intelligence, discussing myths and the historical evolution, hands-on experience, looking at using ChatGPT, Notebook LM, Napkin AI, along with some guided activities, prompt engineering, and then ethical considerations that we have to look at for our staff and students around academic integrity and responsible use and things of that nature. So looking forward to that training and really staying current with that, because I do think that for students to be competitive, we do have to look at AI as something that is likely going to be here for a long time. And we have to make sure that not only we as administrators understand it, but our staff are prepared to work with students, and our students are prepared to know how to properly use it. And so we're going to do the very best we can to educate them on that. I can take any questions if you have them at this time.
I have a question. Oh, Randy, I'm gonna go with my question
Yeah.
first, Randy.
Go ahead.
Mine was about the letter of intent, and what do you need from the school committee to fill out the paperwork or things like that? What do you need? Anything from us?
So the meeting was Wednesday of last week. So we are still gathering information on how to best go about this. I have already reached out to our local community colleges to see if there's anything that they can potentially help out with. And I'll be reaching out to Mass Hire and the Workforce Investment Board as well as the Neshoba Commerce. So I'm going to be looking at those. But first and foremost, in talking to Monty and also Neshoba, the first thing that we need to do is put together a survey to our families, and they recommend doing that survey for essentially our 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade students. So it's not something that they recommend for all students or even current high school students beyond grade 9, because this is something that's going to take a couple years to get up and running. So they really recommend surveying just based on best practice from Career and Tech Ed on looking at the future students of the high school, and again, how to best offer programs that they would be interested in. Because again, there's certainly a need, and having worked in that area for a number of years, I can use advanced manufacturing as a good example. There is a significant need in that area, but getting students to actually go into it is really a challenge. So we have to make sure that the need also matches on some level the student interest, or else we won't be able to fill the programs. So September 15th, just getting back to that, we will look to apply for the letter of intent and make sure that we're hitting the timelines. We'll keep school committee certainly informed along the way. This is something that was shared with me several months ago by Senator Cronin, really, in a push to expand seats and expand offerings that many students are being closed off to right now up in our area.
All right, Randy.
I'll continue along with those questions. With these programs, are these programs that we're going to be fully in charge of? Is there any help with getting curriculum, being that we haven't worked with these programs before, and the tech schools, Monty and Neshoba, both have many, many years of tried programs and curriculums. Is there going to be help there? Is there going to be any connection to those schools, or is it really just working with them that we're going to take some off of their wait list?
So there's really two ways to go about it. The first way would be putting the programs in ourselves, and the second way would be establishing an MVP academy. And an MVP academy basically would work directly under the vocational schools. That is not something that Monty Tech is interested in right now, because they started one a few years ago with districts that feed into Monty Tech that have lengthy wait lists, two of those being Narragansett and Gardner. And they're not looking to expand that program at this point in time. So we would likely be looking to do it on our own, but on our own would come with a significant amount of support from the state. But also from Monty Tech. In my meetings with them, they would very much like to be involved. And even though it's not something that they would be directly overseeing, they're very willing to help out, and they're very interested in making sure that the students that aren't getting into Monty Tech, for whatever reason it may be, have the opportunity to pursue a career in tech area. So the support would be there both from the state and also from Monty. And it's not that Neshoba is not willing to assist, but Neshoba does not have the wait list right now that Monty does. So really our push is going to be that Monty, and Ashby is the only community that feeds into Monty Tech. But in addition to that, there are several communities that feed into Monty Tech in our immediate area that have wait lists, and students are not getting in. So again, there's that potential to pull students from other districts as well.
Okay. At what point will something be put together where the school committee will understand what fee, how much is going to cost basically the district to get this program up and running, and how much is going to cost to run versus how much we're getting from the state to get approval from us? Because talking in the air sounds like a fantastic program. I'd love to bring some of that into the district. But we, are in the middle of budget crisis after budget crisis after budget crisis. We closed a school last year. And if this program is going to take a few years to get off the ground, if we go down this road and we actually approve it, are we going to have the space? Because a decision to have students in Ashby needs to be made. If we're going to need the space, we have to figure out something on how to use the building until it's ready. How is all that going to work?
Right. So I am in communication with Jesse around what the guardrails are around Ashby, being that we have to make a decision within the next year, and plan to work with Jesse on whether it's Ashby, whether it's Squanicook, Spalding, or perhaps another location within the school district. Is the MSBA willing to give us time in order to develop programs, provided that whatever we do in any of those buildings, it's going to be used to educate students. What Monty Tech is recommending, and again, this is just coming from Monty Tech, is that we start small. And as long as we run less than 5 programs, we do not need a career in tech director. Once you go over 5, you have to have a director by the CMR at the state level. They're recommending that we look first and foremost at classroom-based programs, marketing, engineering, business, things of those sort, to see if there's a need there, because if there is a need, legal studies would be another one. And again, if there is a need, we have the classroom space. And staying away from things such as carpentry or advanced manufacturing, which would be extremely expensive to open because of the equipment that would need to be purchased. So both the state is looking at that. Also, Monty Tech is recommending that. And that's something, again, that we would look at through sending out a survey and working with Mass Hire to see what are the actual needs and what are the costs going to look like. One question that I did ask, and I did get the answer because I was struggling to get the answer at first, was that if students tuition in to this program, it is not school choice. They would have to pay the tuitioned in amount, which would be in the range of $20,000 to $23,000 per student. So it would be the district that the student is coming from that would be paying for that, much like they would be at one of the vocational schools, because the goal is to increase seats. So obviously, if money like that is coming in for every student that comes in from outside the district, that is something that will help support the programs as well. But as far as the grant, from my understanding right now, the grant is meant to cover the teacher and equipment. It is not necessarily meant to redesign a building or to cover significant construction. The grant is to literally implement programs and be ready to implement programs. So the goal would be initially to look at things such as classroom-based career areas and potentially some agricultural programs at some point as well.
If we end up not having Ashby as a viable option when we go to do this, do we actually have enough room in the district? Or is the declining enrollment where you plan on putting some of these programs?
The goal would be to use an existing building in the district, whether it be Ashby, Spalding, Squanicook, something along those lines. And DESE is aware of that. That's one of the things that actually makes North Middlesex attractive right now, is that we do have space, but the problem is that are our wait lists significant enough to warrant it, compared to other schools that have significant wait lists. But they, again, some of those districts may not have the space that we have. So in this case, having the space is something that could potentially be helpful to the district, because we could utilize it not just for our students, but for other students as well.
Just talking about enrollment real quick. Nancy, you'd probably be able to answer this faster than Brad. Sorry, no offense to you, Brad. We had stopped school choice a number of years ago. What's the lowest grade that we still have school choice students in? And is that part of our problem with the declining enrollments?
I mean, I could look at that. We haven't had school choice in the younger grades for quite a few years now. I would say 3 or 4. So I'm guessing like grade 5 estimate. I don't know if anyone else has it open or.
Okay.
But I can.
I'm just wondering if the decline in enrollment, I know you said you're going to do a study. I'd be looking to see how much school choice is playing into that, homeschooling, charter, and choicing out. Because I'm not sure, versus just a lower overall decline in the entire district. And I'll let somebody else ask questions.
Anyone else? Keenan or Jackie? I see your hand up.
So I think you were answering this, Brad, but it sounds like students would not be able to choose. They'd have to pick a track, essentially, right? If they're in a different physical building. I was thinking if they're all at NM, some students could choose to do like some of the marketing and or business classes in addition to their regular program of studies.
So right now, if it is an expansion, the students would have to pick a track, because part of that track would be having access to the co-op program, where basically junior and hopefully all of senior year is out in that area in the workforce. So
it.
it's something where essentially it's a career and tech school, and Massachusetts model is very different from other states. There are some states where students take academics in the morning and then they go to the career and tech center like a district like Virginia and Florida do, and they go in the afternoon. Where in Massachusetts, it's very regimented in that students are week on, week off. So they spend a week in their career tech program and then a week in academics, and they alternate back and forth. It's usually freshmen and juniors together, sophomores and seniors together. So there's always students in the class, regardless of whether or not co-op is running.
Got it. Perfect. Thank you. And then back to the school start time and end time. Can you just remind us what the current times are for those schools?
Sure. So just going back to that, essentially Varnum Brook right now remain the same. Student arrival at 8:45, start time at 9. Squanicook and Spalding bumped by 5 minutes. So instead of arriving at 8:50 and starting at 9, they're starting at 8:50 and starting at 9:05. And that was something, again, in working with D-Bus, that they felt that 5 minutes extra was necessary, as well as that 15-minute window to get students to and from, because the buses, depending upon where they're coming from, there are some that will let off at Squanicook first and then go to Spalding. There are others that will let off at Spalding first and then go to Squanicook. So that 15-minute window is going to be necessary for those buses to get students to and from both buildings.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Randy.
Along the same lines with the start times, I know there was a number of questions from the community on how it's going to work if you have children at both schools. How is pickup going to work? Because those lines, if I remember correctly from way back when, I know there's a lot more people picking up now, it could take you 20 minutes to get through the line. They are huge. And if you happen to be at the back of one line and you still have to get to the other school, how does that going to work?
So that's something that honestly we're going to have to wait and see to see how that plays out. We do have to look at the busing situation first to make sure that the buses are going to get to and from the schools on time. So we're not totally sure how that's going to work out. Parent drop off and pickup changes often fairly regularly. And we do have a number of students, again, post-COVID, that are still being driven. But we do, the priority, just because we have to get the buses to and from school on time, that has been the priority. And we will do our very best with parent drop off and pickup as well. But that's something that we haven't done it before, so we're going to have to wait to see how it plays out. We're hoping there has been a modification at Spalding with regard to dismissal, and that the Jersey barriers have been removed along 119. So the buses are going to be able to get out and exit that way. It's an exit only for buses. So the hope is, and this is something that D-Bus requested and we worked with the police department on, as well as the town highway department, is that we're going to be able to get the buses in and out quickly and hopefully have a positive impact on traffic, because we'll be pulling those buses away from student drop off as well, and hopefully eliminating some of the log jam, especially at Spalding, that can be created down at that what's really a difficult intersection when people are trying to pull off on that V area back out onto 119. But we'll work on that with the principals as far as, again, the parent drop off and pickup goes.
Anyone else? Randy. Oops, you're on mute. It's
I'm
okay.
trying to give other people a chance, so if anybody else would like to speak, please do. So two other things. First, I'll touch upon real quick the AI training that you have for staff. Is there any way the school committee members can also go in there, because we do not have a policy on AI? It'd be really good to kind of see what's being suggested to be used, how it's being used, so we can formulate what we want for the district for AI and the direction of that.
I think that would be perfectly fine. We just have to be cautious with a quorum.
I believe there are, yeah, I will double check, but I believe that there are exceptions for trainings and things
Okay.
like that, as far as the quorum, but I can
Sure.
certainly check on that. And my other question goes back to the END. Nancy, I've heard, I know October 31st, we have to submit all of the information to the DESE for certifying the END. And over just the last couple of months, it's been December or January or February. Is there any way to push them for an earlier certification for that? Because with the amount of END that we're putting on, we are going to be well over the 5% range. I know Townsend and Pepperell are still having budget issues, and it would be really nice if we can sit here and at least discuss whether we want to commit some of that END to go back to the towns and lower their assessments.
So we can ask to, fast forward the certification process. What you'll run into, I think, is if our certification happens November, the tax rates for the towns have to be set by the end of, I believe, by the end of December. So you have a really short window to do any kind of votes and have the towns accept it and vote it and then set a tax rate. So I think it might be not impossible, but a bit challenging to try to get it before December 31st. Because the reason we're often pushed off, the ENDs or certifications pushed off, is because of the tax rate setting process for all the towns. So they try to get through all those, and then they start working on the END certifications for regional schools. So
well, we should definitely talk with the towns and see about timing and if what kind of benefit it could be to them to lower their assessments. My guess is even after the tax rate gets set, if we can give them money back and then they can use it for next year, it's going to help their budgets regardless. But I'd want to talk to the towns and see about that.
yeah, and I think we have a meeting coming up in September, early September, for the towns, for the budget for FY26. Maybe it's something that could be talked about at that point.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Thank you. And that should be all.
Sure.
All right, any more questions? I think I had a question, but I got distracted by something that Nancy said, so. All right, continuing
I will
on.
share this report with the committee too, so you have it.
Okay, thank you, Brad.
Mhm.
Moving on to new business, it's the roles and responsibilities recommended new titles. That is your area, Superintendent Morgan.
Yes, thank you. So basically, we have a couple positions that I would like approval from the committee on to essentially change the titles, because the actual job descriptions really need to be adjusted as well. So that alone is reason for a change. And the two positions are looking at the assistant principal / athletic director at the high school, and making that the athletic director, or director of athletics, extracurriculars, testing administration, and after-school supervisor. Mr. DeMar, for all intents and purposes, is doing that now. He has been overseeing all test administration in the building, whether it be AP, MCAS, SATs. He has been overseeing the athletics, and he has been the on-site supervisor in the afternoon and evenings when he is on duty. The one thing that he was not really overseeing were the extracurriculars. That was something that was just kind of being overseen by each of the individual stipended positions. So by having Mr. DeMar take that on as well, again, as he began to do last year, we'll be able to get better data, better oversight and supervision of those programs, similar to what's happening with athletics, to make sure that, again, the proper supervision is there. This was something that was put forward by Principal Smith. I'll let Principal Smith join in and add anything she would like to add as to the rationale behind, again, moving it from assistant principal, athletic director, that 0.5, to more of an extracurricular and after-school type position, which is what Mrs. DeMar is really doing.
Mr. Morgan kind of said it all, but the position over the year has evolved, you know, and having an assistant principal, a full-time assistant principal going into the new school year, who's assuming a lot of the assistant principal roles. We really need someone, and Mr. DeMar fills that from the mid-morning to the late evening, and the extracurricular and everything else that he does just adds that, and it just, the position kind of has evolved into this, and taking the assistant principal title off and adding the extracurriculars really does make sense for the safety and security, and just like the overhaul of looking at everything and making sure we have data and making sure we have someone that's specifically looking at those aspects.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Thank you.
And
Mr.
I did
Morgan.
just want to add to that. I really think that a key piece of this, above and beyond the extracurricular, is that we really have been lacking in the after-school contact person and supervision. And by after-school, it's not like the administration leaves and goes home, but there is a certain point in time where the principal leaves and the assistant principal leave. And we haven't really had anyone up until this past year be in charge if there's an issue, if something happens. Mr. DeMar does have to work a different schedule than Ms. Smith and the new assistant principal, because if he didn't, he would be working hours that just could not be worked by an individual, by starting every day at 6:15 and not getting out until, in some cases 9:30 at night. So he is someone that comes in many days prior to lunch, at 10 o'clock in the morning. There are days, in test administration days, when he comes in first thing in the morning. But he really does have more of a flexible schedule, but he does provide that supervision in the afternoon as well. And that's something that we desperately need for safety. So I'm asking the committee to approve what's essentially a name change. The athletic director, for as long as I can remember, since I've been in the district anyway, has been working these hours regardless. So it's tough to be an assistant principal and not, be there for the start of every single day.
All right. Randy.
My questions are a little bit more logistical. I understand the role changes and the responsibilities, and I don't have any problems with that. So my first question is the new job description actually developed? Because the ones that are in the packet look like they're the old ones. So I don't have anything in front of me other than what you're saying is what they're going to look like.
They should have been shared because Anne Marie.
Okay, I have,
I believe she
I'm just
shared.
opening up, it said, position description is Assistant Director, Special Education Evaluation Team Leader, grades 5 to 8, Gateway Out of District Coordinator. And then the Assistant Principal / Athletic Administrator is what's in the packet.
Okay, those again should have been shared because they have been developed. So I'm not quite sure if they could potentially be in a different location that I'm not aware of, but I looked at them before they were shared.
Okay, Lisa, am I missing, or are there in a different spot that I'm looking?
Let me.
Okay, well, people are looking for that. The assistant principal / athletic administrator, switching that to let me just get the here. To the Director of Athletics, Testing Administration, and After School Supervisor. We already have a job description for a Director of Athletics, I believe, because that was in the position before. Do we need to have another title? Can some of these just be added to that job description and go forward from there? I'm just wondering why we need a full description. You can make changes and alterations to the responsibilities as long as they're not huge overalls without the permission of the school committee. Different responsibilities are something that changes on small basis. Don't know how
Sure.
how those would compare.
No,
So-
I mean, I think we would be willing to do whatever the school committee wishes. All we were trying to do was get the title to match the description, because primarily because things like testing administration doesn't really go with athletic director. And even the after school supervision piece, it may not be an athlete that is in need.
Okay, I can maybe see that. And then the other, for the special education, there already is a special education, you're going to a special education coordinator. What was John Judge's position?
So John Judge was the assistant director of special education. We still have
Okay.
the position. But aside, in addition to that, we had another position that was the evaluation team leader, the ETL. And I will let Erin, who's on the call as well, explain why we're requesting to change that to the special education coordinator, because this particular person does more than lead team meetings. And there's a good amount of focus on other areas. So I'll let Erin, and just so everyone's aware, the rationale is in my report that I'll be sharing with the committee after this meeting. But Erin, I don't know if you want to add additional reasons as to why the name should be changed.
Yes, thank you, Superintendent Morgan. I'm Erin Upton. I'm the Director of Special Education. And some of the reasons for the name change are what Superintendent Morgan had referred to as the responsibilities have changed, the role has changed. So in this particular case, we were looking to make the title match the actual responsibilities of the job, that description that was already created. So across the state, when you think of the role of an evaluation team leader or an ETL, they typically focus on overseeing special education eligibility meetings, running IEP meetings, making sure we're in compliance with IDEA and the Massachusetts regulations. Here, though, the role evolved, and what currently exists as a job description includes additional responsibilities that have broader leadership expectations. There are tasks like coaching and evaluation of staff, overseeing the district's special education programs and supporting the teachers in those and the related service providers, and working closely with families. So the duties of evaluating staff are really more in line with the special education administrator license, which is required for anyone who's supervising, evaluating, or directing special education program services or staff across schools. So we feel as though the change in the job titles actually matching the existing job description. We made some very minor adjustments to the job description, and I apologize that you don't have the correct one accessible to you. But it definitely would allow for this to create more clarity and reflect the role and the work that's being done and bring us in line with the state norms.
Thank you.
I checked the folder and the packet and it has the older ones in them. So it doesn't have the.
Again, I'm not sure how that happened. It was my understanding that they were moved into the folder.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Brad. I don't know if there was some confusion with the document. So I do have one, which I just put into the folder. And I'm working on getting the other. So the Director of Athletics, Testing Admin, and After School Supervisor of job description, that has been placed in the shared drive. Randy, if you want to look at it, I'm working on getting the other one.
And if we have to wait on it, we have to wait on it until the next meeting. That's.
Yeah, I appreciate you working on that right now, Robin, but there's not enough time to pay attention to the meeting and go through and look at the differences between them.
We can move it to the next meeting, and now you know the description from both of, from Brad and Aaron on what they are, and so then people can further investigate.
I would just want to ask, does the committee feel as though there's any need for Ms. Smith and Ms. Upton to be at the next meeting? Once the job descriptions are shared, and the rationale will be shared with all of you as part of my report.
I would say probably not, or if something comes up when we review the work, we can request it at that time before the
Okay.
meeting.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, Patrick McPhillips, you had a question, or you're good?
I can just hold till next time. I'm good for it. Move on.
Okay. All right, moving on. Let me get back to the agenda. Next item, if it's okay with the committee, could we move the handbooks forward to allow the other, to allow Lori and Kate to, and Chantel to leave early? If that's okay. Everyone on the committee okay? I'm
That's
getting
fine with
nods.
me. Yep, that's fine with me.
Yep, that's good.
Okay, great.
All right.
So,
Well,
so as we do every year, the handbook is reviewed, and this year the handbook committee was made up of a building leader at each level, Principal Smith, Principal Gajeka, and Principal Olmsted, and they reviewed the handbook. Also, Ann Cromwell Gap, pre-K, collaborated as well to make sure that any necessary recommendations were made. And they, again, made some recommendations to things that they felt were lacking in the handbook. It has been shared with legal, and you should have in front of you a copy of all the highlighted changes. And we do have the three principals here to field any questions that you may have.
questions, Keenan?
So I have, in reviewing this, I just have three things. The first thing on the handbook on page 5, we still have Jill Twig there. We're going to need to update that with Jackie White. This is regarding the senior privileges. So page 17 of the handbook. I think this one's from Miss Smith. I see you just taking a second to get there. But my only question with that was specifically regarding the attendance requirements for the for seniors heading off campus during their lunch block. The language in there seems to suggest that the attendance requirements are, I believe, three tardies and 3 absences. I'm sorry, I don't have it up right now. For the whole year, as opposed to the current term. I don't know if that was just a me misunderstanding the language thing, but I just wanted clarification on that.
Sure. So it says during the prior or current term. So we took this language from the other school districts. I didn't come up with this. I took it from them. So we talked about the reason why there is that it's either 3 tardies or 3 absences, no more than that. And it does, when it says, it does say during the prior or the current term. So we're starting this in November. So we're going to do it we're starting with Q1 because we didn't get to give the juniors last year the information that they're going to have this privilege this year. So that's where we're starting it after Q1, but it's during that current term that they need to get approval before they could even be considered for this. Does that answer your question, Keenan?
Yes, and for the attendance requirements, term, we're referring to quarters here.
Yes.
Okay. So then great, that negates my other thing with that. My other question was, I guess, more general. I don't know who exactly to target this to. On page 29, section 8, regarding an empowered digital use form, says all students and faculty must agree and sign our empowered digital use form prior to students and staff members being granted independent access to digital resources and district networks. I just wanted some background on that, like, why is this coming around? Is this just like legal CYA stuff. What's that about?
That is actually the same thing that we've been using in the past, the acceptable use policy. We've just modified the title's different. It's empowered use, but it falls under the same or holds the same expectations that we've had for years for students and staff to be able to access the internet and our technology system freely. It's nothing new.
Okay. I just asked because when going through and reading it, it's referencing agreeing to and signing to some sort of thing. And
Yep.
as somebody who just graduated, I never signed anything to use the internet. So if this was something that just wasn't being enforced before,
I know that they sign it at the elementary level, and oftentimes that carries through. So they, might not necessarily have to sign it again every year.
all right. It's kind of interesting. An elementary schooler can sign something, but
Well, they have their parents with them.
The parents sign it.
that's
Keaton.
okay. That's fair. So I think that's all I have there. Yep.
If I can just go in, Keenan, just so you know, that is policy IJNDB. Dash E1 is the actual form without the ending the E1. It's the policy that we have for that, and they've been in force since 2015, in 2016, I believe.
Thank you,
All right.
Randy.
Alexander.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I'm pretty sure I've signed one of those for my daughter every year. The authorization using the internet. So, I think parents, as far as I recall, it's in the big packet of things I have to sign every year that I get from the school.
Yes.
It's generally signed. It's generally signed by the parents or by the caregivers. It's not something that is signed by the students.
Jackie White.
So I'm forgetting already, what are going back to the absences and tardies, what is the current threshold? Three tardies just sounds really low, especially for a kid. I have a kiddo who has like orthodontist appointments and doctor's appointments and things like that.
So that was just for the senior privileges that we're proposing for this year. That's not for the attendance policy in regards to doctor's appointments and that type of thing. This is just if they're going to be eligible to participate in the senior privilege to be able to leave during their 30 minutes of lunch and then come back.
Got it. Okay.
All right. Randy or Kim, which one?
Kim can go.
Okay, Kim.
Thanks. So just point of clarification for, so way up in the beginning, I was scrolling to follow what Keenan was asking about, but the yellow highlight that says that a student must be in for the full day in order to participate in the extracurricular, whereas that looks like a change from the half day. And I'm just thinking about things that are scheduled far in advance for kids, specialized appointments or things like that might take them out for a bit of the day. Is now it's saying that if they're even out for a bit of the day for a legitimate absence, they wouldn't be able to participate.
Can you just, Kim, do you mind telling me what page you're on? I just have it in front of me.
To go back to it. We should have gone page by page to see if we had questions rather than trying to scroll back and forth here. It is early in the handbook. I think it's under number 4.
It's on page 10, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, right under number 4 on page 10.
So that was added this year based on students who think that it used to, students can't have to be here for the full day to participate. If you have a doctor's appointment, you have a doctor's note, or any of the things that are part of our attendance policy, and you have legitimate things, that does not count against this. Those are legitimate things that you leave to your orthodontist appointment because you can only get it at a certain time of day and you come back, then that's not going to be a problem. These are students that are coming in late and think, oh, well, my parent called me in that I can be late, but that doesn't allow you to participate. You have to be here for the full day. It has to be a legitimate doctor's note or one of those things cited in the attendance policy.
Okay, it just, where the attendance policy was cited there, but then it was a new addition. It does seem to create a little bit of conflict. But as long as everybody's clear on that, that was one, just a question that I had.
Yeah, can we just clarify it, because we've been doing it, we even have this for years, and that we just wanted to make sure that the wording, we kind of fell into place.
Okay, thanks.
Randy.
Looking, just senior privilege, since it was brought up already, is 30 minutes really enough time for students to, and Keenan, you may be the best person here to answer this question, to leave the school if they're going to go get food, eat the food because they're not allowed to bring food back into the school. Is that really enough time for anybody to do that, or is this more intended to allow students to just go outside and spend a half an hour on the lawn?
So there is plenty of time in regards, and they could do any of those things that you just mentioned. This is trying to think outside the box in regards to seniors don't have a lot of privileges except for they get to eat in the annex or outside. And over the few years, I've had a few students come to me asking if they could possibly do something like other schools do. So that's when we started looking into it. We are in a unique situation here at North Middlesex because we have all these places across the street that is quite, Hannaford and all these fast food and different things like that. Sometimes it's just for kids that they want to sit outside because they want to break from everybody else. And some kids might just go and sit in the gazebo or might go and sit in their car. So the 30 minutes, we are going to try it out and see, but I do think that 30 minutes might be enough time. We're piloting it. We'll see what happens.
And Randy, I would concur with that as well. During my experience, 30 minutes is plenty enough time. I'm a little bit biased. The high school is 5-minute walk down the road from my house. But I think the idea of this is more to just give people a little bit more, or give seniors a little bit more freedom to get out of the building.
I'm not opposed to doing that. I think it's a good idea. When I mentioned it to my daughter, she was just like, they're never going to be able to get an order and get back and actually have to eat it before they get into the building. Just another opinion, but try it out, see what happens. I'm sure they will let you know if it's not enough time.
You're correct. They will let us know.
Right. One other big change I saw at the high school is that no backpacks at the high school, like at the middle school. How is that going to work? Because I had 3 kids. Well, I guess 2 kids went fully all 4 years through the new high school, and one only had 2 years in the high school. And the complaint always was that and 2 of them were athletes, that they could never get to their locker in the 3 minutes it took time to get from one class to the next. Nobody used their lockers because there wasn't enough time. Some kids were late getting to class because they had to go across the whole building just to walk and get through the crowds. So how is no backpacks going to work? I'm envisioning, kids carrying like, 5 notebooks, and things like that.
So the reason why we're going to our no backpacks, one is the consistency with the middle school, but also it's for safety and security with our class sizes at 30, and sometimes plus, and our students are larger because they're kid adults. All the backpacks in the room and the amount of kids in there and the desks and chairs, it's very difficult for staff members to be able to walk around and interact and help students and see what they're doing on their Chromebooks. And so the staff have brought it forward in the last year, and we kind of looked at that. To counter some of those things is to utilize lockers, which we have never used the lockers here in the 8 years that we've been open. The first year we gave lockers out and no one used them. We maybe have a handful that have asked for them over the years. So staff members have worked diligently at the end of the school year, and us in the school during the summer, and we've opened all the lockers to make sure that they will open for them. And we have also put in place an increase in passing time. So it used to be 3 minutes between passing to go. It is now going to be 5 minutes. And that is so after each class, if someone chooses to, they can go to their locker. We're hoping that with the increase in passing time, 1, that they can use the locker, 2, they can use the bathrooms, and 3, part of high school. It's not just academics, it is that social piece. And a lot of times kids don't have classes with their friends. And in the last couple of years, if you come here between classes, you'd see a group of kids that would be in the commons trying to talk to their friends, and then they'd scatter off, and then sometimes they might be a few seconds late. So we're hoping that this is going to counter all that, so that way they would spend more time in their class during their class time and not ask for passes to go different things. And where we did, approach it with students and let them know ahead of time. And there was a couple of students that had, were kind of gripes about it. But when we started talking to them and explaining why, we had some great feedback for students about how to give the lockers out. So we're going to do it by grade level. And the hope is that they're going to have the same locker for 4 years. And we did it by pods with their grade level so they can see their friends at the same time. So that was actually a suggestion by the students that we were listening to.
Okay, I'm glad you were addressing the time piece, because that was the big worry, because I know chronically it was, we don't have time. My kids wouldn't bring coats to school because they didn't have time to put it in their locker in the morning. So just wanted to make sure about that. And just questioning, the teacher detention is new. I'm assuming that this is just trying to create a smaller level before going to the administration to try and nip some things in the bud.
We've always had teacher detentions at the high school. Teachers give them out, they'd have them stay after school. They not necessarily call them a teacher detention, but they would say, please stay after school for 5 minutes or whatever. So now that we're just putting it in the handbook to notice that there is a teacher detention that it could be that the teachers might do. It's just an option for teachers. And you're right, it's another level that they could do that before it gets to the admin level.
Okay. And just the one last thing I have is more logistical on page 44. Let me go down so I can get the exact language. Looking at, went too far. Okay, it was the drop off, and where is it? Oh, sorry, 45, not 44, 45 in the yellow. Students in grades K to 4 must have a parent or guardian present during drop off. Parents, caregivers in K and 2 to 4 must complete a waiver releasing NM. I know this has always been for the bus drop off. Can we clarify bus drop off at the end of the day? Because drop off, a lot of parents drop off in the morning to the school, and that could be problematic, especially if a friend or, someone just drops them off and they go up the stairs. Is that a problem? When I read this, it was just wanting if we can just talk about bus drop off.
Yeah, we can add that language in there for sure.
And that's it.
Great.
All right, Keenan.
I can defer to Jackie for a second to let her go.
Okay, Jackie.
Will teachers be giving a little bit of a grace period as we ease into the school year? Things that are forgotten in the locker, they need to run back and grab.
As we do with every year, there's a grace period for students for a variety of reasons, and the lockers and stuff will be just added to that list.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank
you. Keenan.
And Ms. Smith, I would just be curious to see if, whether it be midway through the year as we go into semester 2, or if we even at the end of the year, if we can have, some student feedback on the program. Obviously, I have no stakes in it anymore. Personally, for me, it's hard for me to envision how this is going to work out. I can see some potential friction happening, but we've handled change we've had a lot of change in the last 4 years at the high school level. So, and I think the student body has handled it gracefully. But I would be curious, in 3-4 months down the road, if we could get some, whether it be written student feedback, or if we have some students come in front of the committee and just tell us about how they've experienced the change.
Keenan, what change are you talking about?
And for like going into the next year for the backpacks, the lack of backpacks, and going to a locker system.
Like just an update on it, Lori.
Just to hear how it is.
Yeah, not a problem at all. That's fine.
Thank you.
And I want to add on to that, if we get some kind of update on how it works with the seniors having their privileges too. just a little, update. I'm sure.
Absolutely.
So just to see if it works. I mean, we have to test it out. Let's see if
That's
it
right.
works.
Yep, that's fine.
Anyone else have any questions? I would like to thank Chantel, Lori, and Kate for doing the handbook. I know that sometimes it is a tedious task and can take a lot of time. So thank you for putting it together for the district or updating the parts that needed to be updated. So I appreciate that. And I think as a committee, we appreciate that as well. All right, any more questions before we take a motion to approve the handbook? May I have a motion?
I will move
I move
to
to approve
approve
handbook.
the North Middlesex Regional School District Handbook as presented.
Second.
I second.
Okay, we got Randy and Alexander. All right, any more discussion on the handbook? All right, Jackie White,
Yes.
Keenan Francois,
Yes.
Randy Roush,
Yes.
Kim Craven,
Yes.
Patrick McPhillips,
Yes.
Lisa Bloom,
Yes.
Alexander Bracuti,
Yes.
Cootie, and
Like I
Lisa Martin.
banned cooties, right?
Okay, Dan Cooties. All right, and Lisa Martin, yes. So thank you guys for approval. All right, moving on. The district treasurer, Nancy Haynes.
Yes, we every year at the organizational meeting approve the district treasurer position, but what we've been sort of dropped off is sometime to consider any kind of a change in salary to approve the salary for the district treasurer. The district treasurer is a school committee appointed position and has been in that role for many years. I sort of just slipped my mind about it, but he really hasn't had a COLA change in salary, anything. I just wanted to bring it to the committee to see if they wanted to consider making any change for FY26. He's a very part-time person, has a stipend of $12,669. And again, that's been the same rate for the past at least 4 or 5 years, I believe. So I didn't know if there was any interest in, I did ask Robin to include that consideration for what the salary change or what the salary should be set at for the next organizational meeting. So it'll be in there going forward. We won't miss it that way.
So in the agenda here, we just have a blank item like 12669 to blank number. Are you just asking us to consider whether we want to change the salary at a future meeting or change the salary right now?
I mean, either way, it's really your call. It's not up to me, but we did budget an increase. The budget number for FY26 is just for your info and is 13,936, which that would be if the entire increase was given to the treasurer, it would be a 10% at $1,267 increase. Again, it's up to the committee. If you want to defer it, that's fine. And no, it's not a rush or anything if you want to consider it.
What was that number? Sorry. The 10% increase.
The 10% is 13,936.
And we have not raised the salary for this person for 4 to 5 years, correct?
Correct.
Jackie White.
How many hours does he do? Is it weekly or monthly?
I don't know the exact number, but I want to say roughly 5 hours a week or so. I want to say, and I think I have that somewhere. I could double check with him. Probably 5 to 10, depending on the week. He handles all of the payroll, tax payments, any transfers of funds for warrants, bond-related issuance, keeping track of the debt service, reporting the cash at the end of the year to Department of Local Services. So it fluctuates, but I would maybe on average guess that it's probably 5 hours a week.
Randy.
Is there like a going rate that's typical in different districts, whether it be an hourly rate or a for the year? I mean, I don't have, it's not much, and if we haven't given him a raise in 4 years, we've never had a problem with the treasurer. He's always done right by the district and done everything well, and everything that we need. But I'm just curious, what other districts are paying for this.
I did not poll other districts. I mean, some of them have a different structure, so sometimes it's a little hard to compare apples to apples. Where we have a district accountant, other districts might not, in which case the treasurer's position might be slightly differently structured different. But I could look at some of the regional schools and see what those rates look like.
Patrick McPhillips.
You did the 5 hours, let's say 5 to 10, 7 hours. Is that 52 weeks a year? That's all year? Or does he do like teacher, like the 9.5 months?
No, it's year round.
Jackie White.
Are you able to share his name and what he does? Like, does he do other part-time work or have other employment?
Oops, Nancy, you're on mute. Nancy.
Yeah, so he was appointed, his name is Michael Hartnett. He's been the district treasurer for many years. He also has been the treasurer. He works for the town of Groton. And I believe he's scaled back his role there, but he still works for the town of Groton. So he does this as a part-time position.
Jackie, so that, or all new members, so you have guidance on this. He is somebody that the school committee appoints. We appoint the treasurer at our organizational meeting. Is there anything I need to add to that, Randy? About the treasurer? I think.
No, there's not much. We appoint him and he works with Nancy and does what we need.
Yeah.
And again, it's not a rush to do this. I just noticed it and wanted to bring it forward for consideration.
Anyone? Thoughts? Anyone want to make a motion? It is budgeted, correct, for next year, Nancy?
Yes, it's budgeted. The budget for next year, I mean, if you're wanting to assign the whole budget, that's not necessarily required, but it's 13,936. 13,936.
I will make a motion. I move that the school committee approve this district treasurer stipend increase from $12,669 to $13,936.
I'll second that.
And Kim will second that. All right. Any more discussion? All right. Patrick McPhillips.
Yes.
Lisa Bloom.
Yes.
Let's see. Alexander Bancuti.
Yes.
Keenan Francois.
Yes.
Kim Craven.
Yes.
Jackie White.
Yes.
Randy Roush.
Yes.
And Lisa Martin, yes. All right. Thank you, everyone. Moving on. So this is a proposal that Randy and I have talked about bringing in a team building or training. She's been working with MASC, and she can fill you on what MASC training is looking like. Tony is somebody that was recommended from Brad's worked with him a little bit on different things. He was a former superintendent. He now goes around doing team building exercises for different things for districts, different organizations. Brad maybe can give a little more input on Tony. Brad? Whoops, you're on mute. You're on mute, Brad.
Thank you. Sorry that we have to go back to the calendar after we talk about Mr. Ben. So in talking with the school committee, I know that there was a request for some team building work. So I reached out to other superintendents and other people that I work with on some of the collaboratives. And when I put the word out for who would be a good person, Tony Bent's name was given to me by Chris Scott, who is the executive director of the Valley Collaborative. He's been working with the Valley Collaborative since the name change several years ago, and has been working with the board of directors there, which I serve on. Much of that work happened prior to my arrival. It happened, so in essence, prior to 2018, but he did extensive work with the Valley Collaborative Board of Directors, the administration, in really righting that ship because there were several issues that needed to be addressed. So Tony Bent's name was given to me. Tony is a former superintendent in Groton Dunstable. I believe he also has worked as a school committee member, has worked with unions. So I don't have any direct personal experience in working with Tony outside of some presentations he did during the new superintendent's induction program, but he came very, very highly recommended by the executive director at the Valley Collaborative, Chris Scott.
So, and then I'm going to add on to that. I reached out to Tony and talked to him. He does not come without a price. So he does give a session for 3 hours. It's a half a day session for $1,500. He covers the roles and responsibilities, strengthening relationships within the committee and the district leadership, deepening the understanding of school committee work with the governance, accountability, and collaboration. Randy and I did talk about having MASC do the roles and responsibilities part of it, and then having him possibly fill in the 3 hours with the strengthening of relationships and the understanding of the school committee work. He also offers, before you go into the big session of 3 hours, he offers mini pre-sessions individually, a 30-minute Zoom with each individual committee member. And those come at a price of $75 to $100 each. And these are a way for the icebreaker, so he gets to know you and the concerns that you have, and how you want to work within the team. So, any discussion? Do people want to go forward with this? Jackie White.
Obviously the new person here, but I think any opportunity to have some like outside help in setting cultural norms and figuring out how to work together, it sounds like a really great investment.
Oh, and I'm going to add one more thing, is when Randy and I had spoke about this, we talked about how we would make it like a potluck dinner before, and then all of us sit around, eat some food, and then go into it. Tony would not charge for the potluck dinner. He would only do the 3 hours after, just to make it clear to the public that we are not paying for his dinner here necessarily, or his time. All right, Randy.
I was just going to say, at this point in time, with such a young school committee, I think we can use all the training we really can get. MASC will be coming in for roles and responsibilities. I also am talking to them about coming in for other trainings as we need. I'm hoping to have them in here 3 or 4 times. But I think a little bit of team building along with going over what our roles are and how we're supposed to be working together and how to work the most efficiently together is going to be extremely beneficial, as we don't have a lot of institutional knowledge that's being handed down, with Lisa and I the only ones with over 2 years of experience. So I would highly recommend and very much advocate for this training.
And I'm going to second what Randy has said on that. I would advocate for it too, because then everyone comes into the training and can learn exactly what is going on, and some team building for all of you to get to know each other just a little bit. And there is a MASC conference that is beneficial to everyone. We have money allotted to the school committee for that training. And it's great training if anyone wants to participate in that. You'll be getting pamphlets in the mail and you'll see those. I don't know, Lisa Bloom, have you gone to the Cape for the training?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Lisa, it's not really training, it's a conference. So you're going
Conference,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, conference is a little bit different than training. It's there's a lot of different sessions that you can go to on different areas of school committee duties and work and things that people are working on. Everything from you can take the charting the course there.
Yeah.
They offer that at the end of it. But you'll have on LGBTQ and incorporating that in lots of different subjects that can be quite invigorating as far as working on the committee and bringing stuff back to the district. If anybody does have the time, if not this year, then I would definitely say look at next year or the next couple of years, taking a trip down there. It really is worthwhile to go. You can network with other school committee members from other districts. You can, they have vendors there, see if there's any ideas to bring back to the district. There's just so much going on there. It's definitely worthwhile.
Yeah. And like Randy said, they do offer the charting the course at the end of it. So it is a good time to get charting the course in as a new member. Any more questions or concerns? All right. Randy, the proposed or the MASC training session for roles and responsibilities, are we looking for September 30th for that, correct?
September 30th is when they're going to be coming in. They were looking at our school committee calendar, and that was one of the work sessions that we had. So that would be a Tuesday at 6 o'clock. And I believe they said that they can either do it in person or on Zoom, whichever we prefer. I know we were trying for our work sessions in person.
I think we could aim for an in-person. I think it will be in person, the roles and responsibilities.
And if anybody is interested with MASC, our field director, her name is Alicia Mallon. You should feel free to reach out to her for any questions that you have. If we can't answer them or just want to talk to MASC about them, go on their website. Her email is there, phone number, or I can try and put you in touch if you're having difficulties. But she is a resource for the district.
Patrick McPhillips.
So that's end of fiscal year for the government. So I don't know if I'll be able to attend that. That's typically like our busiest night of the year at work.
The September 30th?
Yeah, I may be able to call in from work for some of it, but that's typically like not a good day for us.
Okay. That's okay. That's good to know. Thank you, Patrick. Anyone else? Does somebody want to make a motion to bring Tony in for the team building?
I will move that we vote to bring Tony Bent into the district for the proposed training that he has offered.
I second.
That is Randy and Lisa Bloom. Any more discussion? Keenan, Francois,
Yes.
Alexander Bencuti,
Yes.
Patrick McPhillips.
I'm gonna abstain.
All right, Lisa Bloom,
Yes.
Kim Craven,
Yes.
Randy Roush,
Yes.
Jackie White, did I get you?
No, you did not get me, and yes.
Okay, and myself, yes. I'm going around the screen trying to, you guys keep moving, and so, all right, moving on. School start times discussion. This is something that Kim Craven requested that we discuss. Okay, Brad?
Can I just go back to just to have the district calendar
Okay,
updated again? And so I'm just asking the committee to essentially approve the modification to the district calendar. The school start times are now part of the district calendar. So the modified start times, start and end times for Squanicook and Spalding have been adjusted by 5 minutes. They've been shared with the association as well, and worked out with D-Bus. So I just need the committee to approve that change. Again, it's not a calendar change, but it's part of the calendar.
all right. Do we want to move that up from old business right now and make the change and on it?
It's number 3 on the hang on, sorry, it's number 3 under new business. It's right after the district treasurer.
Okay, all right, I pulled up a wrong
Sorry.
one. I got a wrong agenda. All right, let's do the calendar before we go to the start time. Sorry, Kim. Any other discussions on the calendar? Was there any updates to the
Again,
calendar and
it's just the start times, that's it.
start times? Okay.
I,
Yep.
yeah, Lisa, I'd like to see it on the agenda. Not that I don't want to vote this in, but I have an agenda up at the bottom. It says update posted on August 12th at 10:30 a.m. And number 3 under new business is the handbook.
Is Brad on it? Do you have a
Yeah, I
different?
don't have that on the agenda. I feel like we should still be able to vote on this. I think we didn't reasonably anticipate it, so I feel like it should be acceptable to vote on it, and I'm comfortable making a motion if that's okay.
The agenda I'm working off of is the agenda that's posted with the Zoom meeting.
Yeah, Brad, it could be, there were multiple agendas posted because
Okay.
there were so many changes with errors that were in documents submitted in the packet. So
Okay.
I'm sorry, you could be working off of
Yeah, no worries.
one.
That's okay.
And if I may, Madam Chair, that the superintendent wants to discuss school start times. He's seeing it on an agenda that he has, and we do have school start time discussion on this agenda. So I could see where that would be confusing, that even if he saw one agenda with it on number 3, and this agenda has it on number 5, he might not have known that it was an agenda item that I had asked for, as opposed to the agenda item that he had asked for. So I think there could have been a level of confusion or conflict that we both had the need for the school start time discussion, but for different reasons.
And just to be honest, I'm not sure, and Randy would know this better than I, this isn't really a calendar change. It's not changing the calendar, so I'm not even sure this is something that needs to be voted on. It is a school start time change, but it's not technically a calendar change. We added these items to the calendar just to make it more user-friendly for families. As well as snow day protocols and things like that. Those are all part of the district calendar now.
So, Madam Chair, it would seem like that is under day-to-day operations that would not require our approval.
That's how I understand that as well.
I'm going to defer to Randy since she is,
Yeah. Yeah, I would, hold on a minute. I'm just gonna mute while the phone answers.
okay.
So while she's muted, I just want to clarify, it's something that the superintendent would be able to send out to parents. It could be posted somewhere different for convenience of families. It's on the calendar now, so they don't have to go look for it. That does not seem like.
And I mean, the school committee did approve the MOA that went with this for the teachers. Correct? That
Right.
was our duty to do the MOA. Correct?
I'm not sure if that was a part of the MOA or not.
Yeah,
And we,
I'm sorry.
no, go ahead, Randy.
I was just gonna say is, school start times are something for the school committee. They are in the handbook. So that is part of how we approve them. And if these were correct in the handbook, then they're already approved as far as the start times. I think just adding them to the calendar, you're not changing the calendar. I don't think it's something that we need to put in as a change.
Okay, great. Thank you. I am all set then.
Did we have an amendment to the calendar for the snow dates, Brad? That you talked about, that dates that you could not bring?
So I have a request on the school committee calendar.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, see, that's where I'm getting confused because I can't see the SC on the calendar.
Sorry,
That's
there are
okay.
multiple calendars on the agenda.
Okay, I got it. All right, now we're going back to school start time discussion.
Thank you for adding this to the agenda for me.
Okay.
For those that have been on the school committee since May, you might recall that there was a teacher that had sent in some information regarding school start times, and in discussing it further with some other folks, there was mention that before her passing that Sue Robbins looked into this as well. I don't have all the background on this, but what I wanted to bring up was the differences in the school start times within the area, and that we are the earliest start time. And there is a lot of research, even in my my professional work around sleep and sleep studies. And I didn't know if we could entertain having a working group put together with a school committee person, some teachers, parents, and staff, and even some students to discuss the start time. And for perspective, at the time that I got the information, back in May, the start time for North Middlesex was 7:12, and Groton Dunstable was 7:27. Neshoba was 7:35, Leominster 7:30, and then Littleton was 8:20, and there's Lunenburg was 8 o'clock. So there's some variations, and that at that time school sports starting at 4 p.m. so that there might not be an impact. I'm not asking us to debate the merits of earlier, later, the same start times, but given the amount of research that's out there and the attention on this topic, if the committee would entertain a group getting together to do some more research and either giving suggestions that we should stay the same, make a change, or what have you, whatever comes out of that working group.
Discussion. Patrick McPhillips.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd be comfortable with some sort of working group. I'd be really curious on student and parent input on that because I think that at the end of the day would be the priority if it's something they're interested in, and if we can get the union to agree to it, I don't know why we shouldn't look into it.
Anyone else? Jackie White.
Ditto exactly what Patrick said. And I think Kim is Thanks for providing the start times for the other districts around us, because I think that's really interesting, especially looking at Littleton and Lunenburg. I had no idea. So I'm all for putting a group of us together to work through this.
Alexander Ben-Cudi.
Yeah,
Alexander.
I am all for this as well. I will point out that Lunenburg, the high school is also the middle school. So middle school and high school start at 8 in Lunenburg. So it's kind of like not an apples to apples comparison. But on the whole, yeah, I'm totally for this. Like, it's at least worth looking into. Teenagers tend to sleep later, and uh, you know, the teenagers tend to sleep later than adults. So I get it. Yeah. Um, Now, with you definitely need parent input, and at the end of the day, we might not be able to make huge changes, but yeah, I'm absolutely for looking at this.
Thank you. Randy.
But a little bit of history is the school start times that Susan Robbins was looking into and had a subcommittee looking into. She actually had people come into the district to do presentations on it. It was at the time when there was a lot of sleep studies going on, especially with the high school and driving. The push at that time was to look at probably switching the elementary school with the high school start times and having the elementary school start earlier. We, unfortunately, with the busing situation, we can't condense down to 2 levels because of the number of buses and the cost to the district. And so a lot of districts at that time were looking, and some of them did go ahead and switch and make the high school starting on their 3rd tier versus their 1st tier. There were other things that were being thrown around as possibilities as well, but I know we definitely had, I think it was the director of the sleep center at Children's Hospital come in and do a presentation. I'd have to look back at what her name was. So there was a lot of work, and I can see if we still have anything on the drive to kind of aid in at least some background information on what we've already looked at and where information for resources are. I am definitely in favor of doing this. As far as the school committee, this would be something that we would need to probably want to create the subcommittee with a scope and a purpose for a 1 year, and we can define, where members are going to be from. Community is just fine, and then approve the subcommittee to have this go forward.
So great. Thank you for your willingness, Randy, to go ahead and pull some of that past information. And I do want to make sure that we go into it with, just open mind of what is the here and now, even given some of the history there. So given that, I don't know that it needs a formal motion, but I'm happy to create the back end work to present it to the school committee next time for a formal vote. I just did not want to go through all that effort to create like a scope to present to the committee if there was not interest, but it does seem like there's interest.
I would think that that would be great, Kim, if you want to do the scope, and we can bring it back to another meeting for approval. And then we can assign the committee for that as well.
Terrific. I will have that to Robin in enough time to send it out with the agenda for our next meeting. And I see Superintendent might have his hand up.
I just wanted to add that there's a significant amount of information on the drive, as Randy had stated, around start times. Much of it is Susan Robbins' work. There are some presentations on there as well. So all of that still is on the district Google Drive.
Given I wasn't here at that time, does anyone recall, was there a subcommittee that had formed, or was it just something that she was researching?
There was a formal subcommittee.
Okay. Thank you.
Moving on, the committee meeting and posting requirements, the propose of our process and timeline. We need to set some expectations with this as we begin meetings and some norms around this. It's scheduling, getting the materials in to Robin at a certain time, you know, everyone for our own review to get them in and things like that. Making sure that we're checking the calendar to see who's all scheduled, if we have multiple meetings going on in the week, things like that. So I just want to bring this forward for a little discussion on what people want to establish for the norms. Robin may have some input on how long it takes her to process things. So anyone have any input in how things should be set for the agenda? We do have the 48-hour rule that we do have to post agendas and have information out there. But some of our meetings can be large and have a certain number of materials with them. So we'd like to give time for all of the administration actually to gather those things, or if we have to gather them and get them to Robin, and Robin has to publish them, and we want her to be able to publish them once and be done. I know that there are always exceptions that things will trickle in late, but we would like to avoid those because it makes it easier for everyone if everything is in and everything is flowing correctly. All right, any discussion? Kim?
I seem to be remembering that we were talking that in order for the PDF to be compiled, we were looking at a week out, if I remember correctly, for getting the information to Robin to compile. And in my mind, it also goes a little further than just the compiling of the agenda, and it's the process that we use to request information as well that needs protocols and parameters around it, so that we are not stepping in the way of other requests or timely requests or things that are going on, that we should not be putting undue work on staff, requests from staff that maybe aren't from the meeting. So if we're doing a committee meeting, our regular committee subcommittees, that we have a process for requesting the information that we might need for a meeting, as well as what we might have to be presenting to Robin to create the agendas. And I don't know if that was in your line when you were thinking committee meeting posted requirements. I was thinking our regular committee and our subcommittee really need a process.
Yes, along those lines too, because we do need to establish more norms, and with everyone being new and not knowing what the process is necessarily, we need to make sure everyone understands this process.
Is it something that you're asking for direct feedback now on what our thoughts should be for more of the process, or would you like us to reflect on, you know, past documents and make suggestions that way? Like, what is the best forum for this?
Could I jump in real quick?
Yes, Patrick.
This sounds like something great and easy for the operations subcommittee to take a look at and work with Robin on to work on those processes and procedures, if that's something that would interest the committee.
Patrick and Randy. Randy, you flipped over on the other side of my screen. Look at. Oops. Randy, go ahead.
Oh, okay. You had just
Sorry,
frozen
you
there.
froze.
I'm not sure if you froze for everybody or just me, but I didn't hear anything that you said there.
Yeah, I thought it was me too. You froze for everybody, Lisa.
I froze for everyone. Okay.
Yeah,
It should.
nothing.
Okay. I'll try not to freeze again. Go, Randy.
Okay. I was just going to say that we definitely need a backup. Although we, Robin is appointed as the secretary, and it is in her job description that she is the secretary and does this work for the committee and gets paid for it. But we do need to have a backup for when she's out on vacation, when she's out sick. We definitely need to have a more robust system for how to do this. I would certainly want to take a look at what the process that Robin goes through. I'm not sure if we can simplify that because needing a lot of, a couple of days just to get a document together to post seems a little excessive. I know in the past I used to work with Joan Landers to post, and it was a fairly simple process back then. We didn't have the links back then, and not everything was online. So I know times have changed, but a second set of eyes to see if we can simplify the process so that we can get something quickly. It will use Robin's time more efficiently. It will help out any of the chairs to be able to get their meetings posted quickly and efficiently. And I think having some backups and other people being able to do the process would be helpful for everybody.
Keenan.
Yeah, and I don't want to discount what Robin does whatsoever. I looking at these agendas and looking at other school committee agendas, this is far and away more detailed in every aspect than what any other district could possibly hope for. And all the putting together this drive definitely takes a very significant amount of time to get all the documents put together and get it from everybody. But I just want to defer back to what Patrick said. I think this is something great to toss to a subcommittee, efficiency or operations. And I think that'd be the best move going forward.
Robin.
So I just wanted to give a little feedback before you all start meeting. In reality, when work is coming in, a week sounds great, but when you think of a week, that's really 5 work days. So when I get an agenda, there is a process, and I think there's always room for improvement. And what I'm hoping for and how I view things here in the district is I try to set everyone up around me for success, whether that is a custodian, when I'm leaving for the night and they haven't come around yet, I put the barrels outside of my office so they don't have to unlock the office, come in, so I think it's important, especially, when we're reducing staff year after year, that we're efficient and we're setting each other up for success. So, and we all know this with the school committee, in the work that we do, that things are going to come up as they do daily. But we have lots of subcommittees and we have the school committee. I also support, the superintendent office, the assistant superintendent office, and then all senior leadership. So whether it's principals or I'm answering the phone. So there are lots of moving parts. And I think it's reasonable to look at the process and how things are being done. I pride myself on being efficient. However, if I don't, it's not setting me up for success if I'm getting things with less than 24 hours to post. Or, there have been times where things come in at 10:30 at night and I'm asked to post before 8 o'clock the next morning. So yeah, I think it would be a great idea and I would really appreciate it. School committee is a volunteer position and you all have your own careers and your family. So, anything we can do to make your lives easier and me supporting you, in my life easier and making sure that the information that we have out to our constituents and the community is accurate. And so, I feel as though if we have enough time to plan and put these things together, then we're putting our best foot forward. And, I'm able to put my best work forward. When we're scrambling and doing things last minute, it can, it opens us up for mistakes. So I encourage this. I'm excited about looking at the process and seeing what we can do to improve it. So thank you for taking the time to do it.
Yeah. Thank you, Robin. Tim. Tim. Or you took your hand down. Patrick.
So it's 8 o'clock and we have a lot of stuff to go still. I'd like to move that we move this topic to the operations subcommittee to allow them to work on a solution for a future meeting.
We will move that to that.
A
All right.
second.
Well, we don't need a vote. We're
Oh,
just going to move it down to them, if that's okay. I don't think we need a formal vote. Right? We'll just assign a
Yes,
new
I agree.
task.
No vote.
Okay,
Thanks, everyone.
moving on to the school committee calendar. No, there is a few changes. Brad.
Sure. So I just wanted to recommend, when looking at the school committee calendar, currently the joint boards meeting, which is a very important meeting, is scheduled for Tuesday, February 10th, which is fine. The potential problem is going to be if there's a snow date, making it the 11th because of the national conference that is occurring at that point in time. So I'm just asking the committee to consider making the joint boards meeting on the 9th with the snow date on the 10th. So making it Monday, Tuesday, as opposed to Tuesday, Wednesday. I don't see any way we can push it off or delay it even a week because of school vacation and things of that nature. So it's an important meeting. I don't recall having to change it because of snow or because of weather reasons in the past, but I think having the snow date is beneficial and hoping that there's enough time to potentially make this change. We're at several months away, so I'm asking the school committee to consider it.
Any questions? Patrick.
I just never put my hand down from before, sorry.
Okay. Robin. Do you have your hand up or is that from before?
I didn't put my hand on either. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Anyone have any questions or concerns? Seeing none, anyone want to make a motion?
I move to vote the school committee approve the 2025-2026 school committee calendar as amended.
I
Any-
second the motion.
Okay, so that is Keenan and Alexander. Any questions, any concerns? All right, taking a vote. Randy, Rush.
Yes.
Sorry. Jackie White,
Yes.
Patrick McPhillips,
Yes.
Lisa Bloom,
yes.
Alexander Bancuti,
Yes.
Keenan Francois,
Yes.
Kim Craven,
Yes.
myself, yes.
Thank you very much.
Right. Moving on to the superintendent's evaluation, the composite evaluation. So what the school committee every year, or I guess we voted this last year to do it a 2-year cycle going forward, is tasked with creating a evaluation, a composite evaluation. Each individual school committee member needs to create their own evaluation. They're given goals, which the school committee helps Brad to set his goals. He gives us the goals early on, and then we evaluate on those goals. Okay, so what is presented here is a summation of all of those evaluations together. And I'm going to read something from the MASC about the evaluation document itself. The summation evaluation is a public evaluation of the superintendent. The superintendent only has one evaluator, the committee as a whole, and therefore only one evaluation. The final evaluation of the superintendent is intended to provide feedback that will help the superintendent know where the committee believes the superintendent has been successful and where improvements may be warranted. To serve the district and the superintendent well, the summative evaluation should provide objective feedback. It should also be limited to the goals and standards agreed upon at the beginning of the cycle and limited to the time frame of the cycle. Now, there is several questions in the public about the individual reports. I did reach out to the lawyer and or the individual evaluations. I did reach out to the lawyer or our lawyer to make sure that I was releasing things correctly and in the right manner. So his feedback is if the committee creates a composite evaluation for the superintendent, that composite must be discussed during open session, which we're going to discuss it, and is a public record and ultimately becomes part of the superintendent's personnel file. If the individual committee members' evaluations are not discussed or disclosed during the open session, they remain confidential and will not be part of the public record. As the committee operates with a composite model, there is no need for the individual committee members to use their individual evaluations at the public evaluation meeting. So that was the guidance from the lawyer. I wanted to make sure that I shared that with everyone. I did share this in an email earlier with the committee when I released the composite, which when I released the composite, it also was released to the public. Any questions? Randy?
I understand that the evaluation is because we work as a board and our votes are composite. Our past practice has always been that the individual evaluations are public records and can be requested. Whether we
Randy?
discuss them or not, we as a committee can decide to make them public documents. That is a choice that the school committee can vote on to make them. And just wanted to put that out there, that just because we don't have to doesn't mean that we can't.
Yes. I want to point out, because I did go back in what we have done in past practices, and Craig Hansen, who was a past school committee chair, had sent out a notification to the committee about saying how it's regular practice that the individual ratings are not shared at the meeting, and we only review on the composite. And the reason, for this reason, only the composite evaluation falls under the open meeting law disclosure requirement, since the other materials are not used in the meeting. And we do not post these on the website because the evaluation is solely based on the composite ratings. So I know that in past practices, we have put out our evaluations, but then there has been instances where we have not.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that we have put them out in the meetings, but
Yeah.
we've always operated, at least I've always been told and operated under the impression that they are public records if requested, that we would produce them.
Keenan.
Thank you. And I don't want to go against what anything that the lawyer shared with us because he's our legal counsel. Is the purpose of this section in the meeting? Do we have any discussion among the members on the we've all read it on the superintendent's evaluation. I just, in the interest of efficiency, it is 8:06, and we are substantially behind schedule. So if we just want to kickstart the discussion, Or if there was no discussion, then we can just move on.
All right. Anyone, Randy?
Okay. I just have a question about why we have departed from the style of a summative report that we've done in the past. I do know that this is a legitimate method to use, so I'm not questioning whether this is legitimate. But in past, we have always put members' comments from their individual evaluations as part of the summative versus just a full summary. And this was not discussed with the committee whether we were changing that format. I'm just wondering why that was changed without a discussion.
I did the summative report, and I crafted it to collect the collective sentiment. I did talk with Nick about this as well. He said you only have to grab the sentiment. The reason that I did not use individual direct quotes is because I practice discretion with that, because I wanted to preserve the privacy of the individuals and the confidentiality of some of the feedback. And I felt that the sentiment was a better way to capture this than opening everyone else up for negative feedback or legal actions, possibly, if that was a possibility. Because, and another reason why I was very careful with this, doing it this manner, is there has been a case where somebody used a wrong word, and there has been a lawsuit that has been in the works, and that was something that Nick had sent out or Nick's company had sent out about some legal action that was taken. So I just wanted to be careful. So that was my reasoning. Lisa Bloom?
What if we want our individual evaluations posted and open for public record?
That is up to you. You can discuss them if you'd like.
So can I request mine to be posted?
Can I take a second? Kim Craven?
Thank you. So I have read some of the documentation about the composite, and I certainly would not want to put the district into a precarious situation by releasing something that is supposed to go into a personnel file. I also do not want for myself, for the district, for the superintendent, for any of my material that was supposed to be part of a composite to be part of this, because the whole point of the composite is to gather information and make sure that it is compiled in such a way that is informative, instructive, and based on the goals and not on things extraneous to the goals or personal feelings. So I certainly do not want to get caught up in anything that the district or the school committee might do. So it, might even cause me to not participate in the discussion.
Randy?
Along those lines, talking about what actually was put together here, I do have some concerns. One, that I don't feel that my viewpoints for my places for improvement were incorporated in this. I think this document as a whole lacks a lot of details about some of the good work that Superintendent Morgan has done as far as, let me take a look. I have a number of things that he had cited that he had done, bringing students to different leadership workshops, working with Project 211, actually doing, going to the State House and talking at the hearings and from everything from that to, I guess, I apologize, I don't have them at the tip of my fingers here. Just a lot of the other specifics that kind of support some of the things that he did in the district, they're not in here. So reading this, if I had no idea what the superintendent had done this year, I see a lot of platitudes. He did wonderful here and he did several things here, but there's no specifics to solidify. And I would really like to see some of those good things that he has done solidified in his review, because not only is it to look back on, but the community should be able to see that. But also a little bit more specifics on where he can improve. Just saying in general that he can improve doesn't help the superintendent understand where we think the specifics are on what there were problems with this year and what he can work on for next year. So I think it's a little too general, and I'd like to see some more specificity put into this.
Lisa Bloom.
What about like the school committee members that have stepped down from last year? So they're not even on this meeting to say anything about their evaluations.
They're not. That one gets tricky, and I asked guidance from Nick as well. Because they are public, they can make public comments, but since this is a voting body, and so I'm not, Randy, I'm not clear on how that works, because usually when we have done evaluations, we've done them a few different ways. We've not had like a set standard on.
Well, obviously, if they're not on the committee, they can't vote.
Yeah.
I think Lisa Bloom was just talking about them giving their input as far as the composite, because they did give input into the composite. Personally, I wouldn't have a problem if somebody wanted to make a comment about this, because this is supposed to be representative of everybody who put in an evaluation. But I'd be willing to listen to what other members were on that point.
Lisa, do you still have a question?
Yeah. So if you look under the Attorney General's office, it says that are the evaluations of individual members public? And it says yes. If the individual evaluations are used in the creation of a composite document, they are considered public records. And I believe all the evaluations should be available to the public.
So I am going off the guidance of the lawyer, and this was the guidance I was given by the lawyer. I'm just.
Well, you can look up the Attorney General's law, the Massachusetts Attorney General's law.
Unless I misheard, the lawyer specified that if the individual wants to make their own evaluation public record, or like bring it into the public, they can do so. They have every right to do so. Did I hear that correctly?
If they want to use it in open discussion, in an open meeting, it becomes public record.
Right. So I think, Lisa Bloom, I think your concern here is if you want your evaluation made public, I would just say it, like say your feedback in relation to the composite here, as this is the time to do so.
But also the school committee members that have stepped down from last year aren't here in the meeting, and they might want theirs public.
And I do want to go back and talk about what the composite is. We can add more to the composite. I can go back and look more and add more information into the composite, and we can bring it back. But say, for instance, everyone wants to bring out their evaluation. That is 9 evaluators for Brad, when by law, you're required 1 as a committee.
Right. The individuals are not binding. They are part of the working document that went into the composite. The composite is the only one that is a legal document going into the superintendent's file. I think we're all in agreement with that.
Kim.
Thank you. So I think Randy just rounded out with, the most important part is that we are in agreement that it's one evaluation. The school committee is as a whole. We are not to be seen as individuals during this. And the Association for School Committees is pretty clear that we are to take all the information and put it into one, and only one goes in as a permanent record. So as long as we are moving to that, if each individual has a different thought on it, like I said, so be it. But I am not willing to go against legal counsel's advice on that and put myself or the district in any peril.
Anyone else? Am I hearing that you want more things added, Randy? Correct?
Yeah,
Good, and I can go back and analyze it again.
Yes, basically what I'm asking to be put in here are the specifics. Brad gave a very well-rounded self-assessment on what he accomplished, how he accomplished it. Those items should be in his evaluation. Those are the things that we tell him. You told us you did A, B, C, D, E. We agree that A, B, C, D were absolutely fantastic. You did a wonderful job on those. We want to give you the kudos. We want to give you the recognition that you did those things. And if there was areas for improvement, we can't just say, well, you have to do better with communication. That doesn't tell him anything. If there were specifics that people had for in areas of improvement, like I had areas of improvement with reaching out to the community as far as closing a building, which was in my my individual one, that's more specific. That's a specific type of communication. That's a specific area that he can work on. Just saying communication doesn't give him a lot of direction on what we're thinking that could be improved.
And so I do want to point out that this is why we have a discussion in public about it, because we can change the document. And so that is feedback that is, and I can tell you it's not easy to make a document for 9 to 10 people.
I would say we should probably get into working with AI. It can compose all of this and bring it into one document really quick and easy these days. My father-in-law has been working on that, where you put in documents and it does a nice summary, as well as reading with the DESC. They actually suggest that somebody not on the committee does a composite if you're going to be doing the summative like this, where you're not using specific people's comments.
And having used AI some, you have to be careful in that you get it quoted correctly, and there is things of AI.
Absolutely
you
have to
be
review
careful.
it. Absolutely
Yes.
have to review what AI puts out, but it's a interesting way to think about going about this, because again, even the DESE suggests an outside independent person take the evaluations and create a summary of those.
Yes. So it being late, and I know that I will take the document back and create more of a substantial document, more in it. Is there any suggestions that I can take from the committee right now? I know, Randy, you want more specifics?
Yes.
Anyone else?
Can I just ask, so legal reviews, the cumulative, would they
Legal does not review it. Legal does not review it, the cumulative one or the summation one. I just went to legal advice how to release documents.
now is that something we could have them review for accuracy of the board and for
We would have to pay for it, Patrick, but I mean, if that's the step that I'm sure they would do that. I don't know how I have not heard of a committee doing that, Randy. Have you, where they've had a legal team do it?
No,
several of the
not
things that-
typically. I mean, legal really is kind of looking at, um, uh, they're not gonna, they're gonna be able to say if something in there is illegal, but again, I mean, the chances are, it's, I mean, I had to look at that case that, that Lisa was referring to, but I have not heard of issues, in the past, and I have not heard of anybody using legal to review their documents. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean we can't, but I'm just saying I have not heard it.
And like I did research on several chairs. I read the same things like Randy had mentioned about how to put this document together. I mean, we all have the document from MASC too. And their guidelines as well. Patrick, any more questions?
Is this something that we, as the members who wrote appraisals, can see all of the appraisals to better understand how we came up with this cumulative? I'm just curious how we got it, because I know I wrote paragraphs upon paragraphs. So like I feel like, just based on how I'm leading and how I feel like what Randy and Lisa are concerned about, I'm just not sure how. I'm also trying to speak very carefully. I guess I'm just not understanding their full concern.
Well, I think what they're saying, I'm hearing Randy and Lisa, that more needs to be added to the document. More like examples of all the things. So when I read about,
I'm just gonna ask them, I guess, do you want more stuff in there or more of your stuff? Because if that's what it is, then it's not a cumulative anymore.
I was looking for both. Mine being part of it is, there's very little cited here, even all of the wonderful things that Brad has done this year. The specifics of what he got accomplished are missing. I mean, I
Okay.
can pull up his self-assessment and probably find 10 examples at least of things that he did that everyone agrees are good, and they're not cited.
Yeah.
So that is definitely one concern, because I'm looking at this document as a whole. It's not telling anybody any specific, it's an evaluation. You're saying what they did well, not that they're a great person. Yay, great person. That does nobody anything good. You got to say why they're a great person, why they did good things,
so
as
can
well as
I,
the next
yeah.
steps, which are places to improve. You have to be specific. You can't just say, go and improve. You have to have specific areas and things that you did. That's a good document. That's a good evaluation if it has those attributes.
So I am going to, since it is getting late, I'm going to ask that we pull this back. I will reanalyze it. Could I ask Kim to help reanalyze it to make sure that all of the things are looking correct for everyone? Because she has had, out of like the four, like there's 5 of us on this that have done the review that are on this call right now. Kim is the newest, but I think she has some experience in her background giving her government job to understand how to pull things together, because she did public relations, public things. She may be the more qualified with this, if that is okay by the committee.
May I ask a question?
Yes, Jackie.
What happens if, like you said, there are 9 evaluators on this? What happens if people disagree on what's good, what's bad? Like, where is the discussion that happens around that?
In this meeting is when it has to be an open discussion on his evaluation.
Okay.
So we'd review the discussion. We'd review what is said in the cumulative.
So I just think it would be helpful if you and Kim came back and said, here's where we see some differences. Let's discuss, right?
That would, sorry to give you more work for things, Kim, but, and sorry to suggest it. I should have asked if you wanted to take that on.
Public record now.
Lisa, I have my hand up. Not sure if you saw
Oh,
it.
whoops, sorry, you're blocked by something on my screen. Sorry, go ahead, Kim.
No problem. So my only ask would be for legal counsel, if I have access to all of the documents and not just your composite, as you know, as an editor saying like, what does this word actually mean? Or I can interpret this word 2 different ways, or this is a run-on sentence is totally different. And is that okay? I would want to make sure that that's totally okay. And then I think when we do that, when it becomes more specific, that we have to make sure that there's no attribution to like a person when we do it.
Yeah. Lisa Bloom.
Oh, did you call me? You cut
Yes,
out.
your hand. Yes, Lisa.
Yeah, okay. So the individual evaluations have always been provided to each school committee member, which I believe they should be, so everybody, we can all see each other's.
So I asked Nick about this, and those are individual basis ones that report to Brad, not to everyone. There are individual guidance. So it would be up to the individual if you want to share yours, or if Jackie did an eval, if she wants to share it with the committee, but everyone has to have their own
Okay,
vote
and what
on it.
about the school committee members that have stepped down? And what if one of the school committee members that stepped down hasn't done one?
Well, Jill
So-
Twig was the only school committee member that qualified to do one, and she chose not to do one.
Okay. So like each of us as a school committee member who are doing these evaluations should be able to read each other so we know,
Kim Craven?
Yeah, so in a composite evaluation, the focus should be on a evaluator or team as we're moving to, taking everything and put it together. It is not the purview of other committee members to dive into what others said. We run on a composite process to have one document that goes into the superintendent's file. This is not a debate between committee members, so I don't see any relevance to all of us having everybody's document to pour through. We're going to do question why you listed one thing and maybe I listed another, or maybe we both listed the same thing and one is a positive and one is a negative. This is not a debate about how we scored, but what the composite score is for the superintendent.
Randy?
Just to kind of go a little bit on what Lisa Bloom is saying, and I understand both sides of the argument that's being made here. It's hard to take a look at a composite, especially if you had a view that's not there, and you're wondering, is it because I was one of 9 that felt that way? And so the average didn't feel that way, and so it's not in the composite, which is exactly how it should be. Or was it left out on purpose or accidentally, or it was missed or something like that. So being able to see each other's evaluations kind of give you a perspective of how many people felt the same way you did, to understand why it is or is not in the document. I also understand that it can be considered deliberation. And so after the fact probably is a better way to distribute that, because I guess I was told that reading everyone's review is almost like talking to them. So we want to be careful of that, getting it beforehand, which that's something I had never thought about or considered. But it does make it a little bit more difficult when your views are not there to understand whether you're just in the minority or it's just not, it was missed. So.
And Randy, I want to go back to your point because that's where I struggled, and I wanted to make sure that we were following this process correctly with the release of documents and who gets what, because there's a lot of different things out there. And even when I talked to Nick about it, he said there are several ways, and I said, well, what's the legal way of doing this? And so he said several school committees don't do it correctly. And so I want to make sure that we're following the process legally correctly. Keenan.
Yeah, and I think we've established that if you, at the end, after that we're going back and creating a new composite, more detailed composite report, and if you still are not satisfied with that composite report, or you don't feel you are accurately reflected, you're well within your rights to read your own evaluation into the public. So I don't know if we have anything other to say on this topic, but I think we can move on to our next. Yeah.
All right. Anyone have any questions? All right, moving on.
Jackie White subcommittee appointments. I don't know if you're looking for it.
Because I was flipping to the agenda, it got off of my screen. Okay, Jackie White wants, or Jackie, can you tell us what committee you would love to be on?
Sure. And just to preface this by saying, I want to go where it's most needed, right? So if there's a spot where we need to have other members step in, definitely let me know. But the policy subcommittee and the school committee operations are the two that are kind of top of mind for me.
All right. Is anybody objecting, or Patrick McPhillips?
Operations is down a member now with Kerry leaving. Just with Jackie's background, I think she'd be a great fit on the operations committee. If that's something that would interest her, love to have her.
Yeah. And policy as well is down, right, Randy? All right. So would somebody please make the motion, or make a motion to appoint Jackie to those? Whoops, Randy.
I will make a motion to appoint Jackie White to the policy and the school committee operations subcommittees.
Second.
All right, Randy,
Yes.
Jackie,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Lisa Bloom,
Yes.
Alexander
Yes.
Flutie, Keenan Francois,
Yes.
Kim Craven. Kim? She stepped away. We'll just say she abstained. Or no vote. I don't know. How do you handle that, Randy? When they step away, is it an abstention or?
Yeah, basically it'd be an abstention.
Oh, there's Kim.
Yeah,
She's
sorry.
back. Kim
Yeah.
is a yes.
So sorry, you couldn't hear me.
No,
I'm saying yes, but I'm not.
oh, okay, got
Yeah.
you. Okay. And Liz Martin, yes. All right, moving on. I think it is finance is the next one. That is you, Kim.
Can we just take a 3-minute recess?
Yes. Can I get a motion just to take a 3-minute recess?
To take a 3-minute recess.
I second.
Okay, that is Patrick and Jackie. Randy,
Yes.
Lisa Bloom,
Yes.
Alexander Van Clutie,
Yes.
Keenan Francois,
Yeah.
Patrick,
Yes.
Jackie White,
Yes.
and myself, yes. All right. Lisa Bloom and Alexander. Alexander, are you back?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. All right. Coming out of recess, keep me honest, Kim and Randy, do we have to take a formal vote to come back in?
Never had a recess, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you just have to reconfirm the roll call,
Okay.
which
I'll
I think you were
reconfirm with.
doing.
All right. I'm going to take a roll call that everyone has returned from recess. Keenan Francois,
Yes.
Patrick McPhillips,
Here.
Lisa Bloom,
Here.
Alexander Bancuti,
Here.
Kim Craven,
Here.
Randy Roush,
Here.
and Jackie White,
Here.
and myself are here. All right, going on to the subcommittee report. Kim, you have finance?
Yes, thank you so much. We've had the opportunity to meet twice. We did meet on July 17th and August 11th. And a big part of the discussion of each was the FY 25 and 26 budget. The superintendent did point out some of the key things that we had discussed, that there was approximately 2.8 in the budget that will have a few encumbrance against it, and then will need to be certified. And one of the topics of discussions moving into FY 26 is what some of the assessments will be and what that will mean for us. Lisa, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah. Can you speak just a tiny bit louder? It's hard to hear you.
Sure, let me try to turn my sound up a little bit too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Does that help a little? Okay, thanks. So looking forward to, while there was some resources left after the year, and there is some supplemental and increases in what will be reimbursed for FY 26, we just have to make sure that any assessments coming in, you know, that we know where we're at. And along that line, if moving ahead from our July to our August, is a request for September, if possible, if not by October, to take a look at the hiring pattern and any filled, unfilled positions and where people came in at, and the effect that that might have on the FY 26 budget. Because obviously, if there was some late hires, you know, that gives some relief. But we just need to see that once everything is set for the new year. So we've asked for that to come forward. We had discussed some of the infrastructure funding and what had come through, and I think at some point the superintendent may, you know, give us more details on how that is going to be spent, the best strategy for that. But you know, there was some money that came in outside of the regular budget process for some infrastructure. One of the things that we've requested, we've talked about it a little bit here, is tracking the expenses and the revenues related to activities. And that goes along with what the superintendent had said too, is, you know, the numbers and the involvement over the years of the students. So the other that we were looking at is the community representation for the committee. And I had looked at the past job description that was there and wanted to bring it back to the committee in its totality, is that for the community representation, it was just for Ashby. And I would like to extend it so that there's representation for the finance committee from each of the communities, that they would be non-voting members, that they wouldn't be in any potential executive sessions, but that we would afford that opportunity. The other thing that we had discussed is an input session. And it was mentioned that some of the input sessions on the budget in years past had been like long days, a couple Saturdays. I wasn't looking at something like that, just more an opportunity where we could get feedback from community members and engage more in discussion, not just with the community input that we have at the beginning of each of the meetings. And I have, for the finance subcommittee, added community input at the beginning and at the end so that we could hear what folks were saying going into the meeting, and then based on our discussion, if new questions came up, so that the community didn't have to wait till our next meeting, they could give some comments there in case there would be something that was on their top of mind that we could collect for the next meeting. So I'd love to hear some feedback on that when I'm done. The other thing that I had asked about was the contracts that might be coming up that would have budget impacts. Wondering, if there were technology contracts, things that might be impacted by, tariffs or increases. And the ones that are coming up is the Fresh Picks contract. And there had been school committee representation the last time that had come about. So I'd like the group to be prepared that there'll be an ask for that coming up in the next few months here, is for someone to participate in that particular contract review. And then there'll be one coming up for the Blue Cross Blue Shield. And while there's been some questions about where we had moved to go into Blue Cross Blue Shield direct, and community members wondering if that was indeed the cheapest, and that was the least expensive, but that would have to be renewed, and seeing what might come of that particular contract. The D-Bus contract goes through FY27. So we will have to, live with that contract through the next budget cycle. But then when that one comes up for renewal, taking a look at that. That did lead us to some discussions over these meetings about things that we might want to move from the Finance Committee to the Legislative Committee. And both of those had the budgetary impact related to transportation. And that during the transportation hearing, when they were asking questions back of those that were presenting, they asked, is full funding of transportation the only solution, or might there be legislative changes that would alleviate some of the costs on the district schools? So for me, that left that there was a little bit of an opening to have that discussion. And then the other part that has been in discussion is that many schools are just getting back one bid when the transportation goes out. And there's been discussion about how to make that a more competitive process, looking at that. So those are two items that I would suggest that we bring forward to the Legislative Committee to see if that committee would like to look at them. So sort of the two asks and to-dos related to this report is sort of the thought and will of the full committee on the community representation, and then the thought and will of the full committee on moving some things over that are impacting finances but are truly under the Legislative Committee. And now the new that I didn't have in my report originally, but I do now, is we need another member because we are losing Carrie.
Yes. All right, so let's go with the first one. What was your first one, Kim? Was the representation?
Yes, the representation. And just, thoughts on having someone from each community be able to come join us, be a liaison out to the communities over and above our regular work, but someone that wouldn't be a member of the school committee, but just adding to the conversation around the finance parts to be able to ask more questions and engage in conversation, and would you like to have some level of sort of public input, public hearing, where there's more dialogue as we start setting the budget for community at large to ask questions.
Any discussion? Jackie?
Again, going to play the new person card for a little bit, but I say why not? I obviously have no idea what the rules are around inviting public comment like that, but I think it's desperately needed and wanted by so many folks that are in our towns. What did you say at the beginning, Kim, that there was an Ashby representation, but that was the only town? Like, how did we go about getting that person involved?
So there was a job description or a volunteer role that was established, and it was limited to Ashby only. And that might have worked in the past, but as chair, I would like to either open it so that each community has the ability to have someone engaged in discussion actively rather than just one community.
And the person will not have a voting role. What Kim is proposing is the person
Right.
or the representatives from each town would not have a voting role on the finance. They would just put an input and carry with the discussion.
And there's ground
Oh.
rules like, you know, taking things back to Facebook and whatnot. Like we kind of set the norms that we want to see them abide by and follow.
Well, the meetings are public, so anything that is said, anyone can take to Facebook. But yeah,
Yep.
we would hope that there's not a Facebook discussion about it, but more of a way to, in between meetings, actively gather information and have conversations, and then come back and have conversations that we can answer questions to someone without it just being a one-way community comment. Our public comment sessions are largely just taking in comments. And from time to time, if it's something, you know, pointing to a document or a particular number that can be answered, there is time when there is some feedback, but by and large, public comment is not a discussion or a dialogue.
Randy.
Yeah, I just want to add, I do think this is a good thing. We need to find new and different ways to get community feedback. All I will say is before putting out a request for people to volunteer for these positions, that we have it documented very clearly exactly what their role is going to be. When we had brought on Kathy, we voted her in, and then we're really kind of still discussing whether she could vote, not vote, what she had access to, what she didn't, and I really that caused a lot of problems and delays. And if we can just get that set before putting out a request, that's all I ask.
Yeah, I think the suggestion from the finance committee was they would not have access to emails, things like that. They'd have and not access to executive sessions. They would not be taking part in executive sessions. Just to make that clear to the public, the executive sessions are held for the committee members and not for the public volunteer.
Yeah, I understand about the executive session, but just think about how you're going to get information to them. I assume they're personal emails that you would email them stuff so they could be prepared to talk about things. But again, just work out the details beforehand.
Patrick McPhillips.
Just to speed up Jackie and some of the other members up who are newer, the reason we only had an Ashby rep last year is because Ashby wasn't represented on the finance committee fully. June wasn't on that committee, so we had at-large reps, but not an Ashby specific rep. I think that having a representative from all three towns on the finance subcommittee would be fine. It may be beneficial if they're able to communicate and understand the information and feed it to people on Facebook. I think a lot of the questions, a lot of the community stuff that comes up is on Facebook. After my first few months, I just stopped responding to things on Facebook because, to my understanding, it was just opening us up to more issues and misinformation and just problems. So I typically respond through email now. I think a great example of somebody, and I don't know her personally, Kelly does a great job of getting information out there. So that's like an example of someone I would hope for like a example of how people on this committee could help feed information back to the towns. So yeah, I'm sorry I missed the finance subcommittee meeting. I think it's the first meeting I've missed this year. I'm on vacation this week as well, but I think it benefits the community to have the members.
Randy. Sorry.
So, yeah. Just with all of the discussion on Facebook, we just keep in mind Facebook does not reach all of the communities. A lot of people don't want to speak up on Facebook. It can get a lot of information out, but in sometimes what could be very small spheres that sound very loud. So I would hope that.
I think a lot of the misinformation is on Facebook, though. I think a lot of the
Oh, I understand that, but if we're looking to reach the community, we have to include other ways to get in touch with people other than just Facebook. That's all.
Yes, there's other means of communication that is established through newsletters and different things. And I mean, watching the finance committee meeting too is a way that people stay informed. All right, Kim, you didn't need a formal vote for that.
No,
No.
I just wanted to get everybody's input.
Anybody else have any more input on it? Keenan.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw that that question from Chuck Walkovich that came in, but he just asked that Kim or Nancy provide a brief overview of the final Massachusetts budget on NM. I assume he's referring to how the supplemental is affecting us.
So some of that is still not been communicated. And Nancy is still on there. I don't need to speak for her. But not everything has gotten down to her. And I don't know, Nancy, if you want to weigh in on that.
So we did get some additional money in Chapter 70, and I think it might have been in the finance packet two meetings back, which we could provide to the full committee.
Yeah.
And we did get some additional funding, but we also got some increases in our assessments. So we had a little of both. The charter and choice assessments were increased, but they do end up getting adjusted based on actuals. So I'm kind of on a look and see basis on that. For right now, though, there isn't a way to increase or decrease the assessments and increase the revenue because of those offsets. So I guess we're just continue to watch that, and I will make sure the full committee gets the final numbers so they can see that and how it relates to what we voted.
Yeah. And the hope for that was that September-October timeframe that hopefully we just know a little bit more about how that is impacting us, and combined with any offsets from the hiring or increases.
Randy.
Is there going to be any consideration of giving some assessments back to the towns with the extra money that we're getting in? Again, the towns are hurting right now, and we have a budget that is set. If we get extra money, especially in light of all of the E&D that we're going to have to spend money out of anyway, the sooner we can consider giving something back, I think everyone will benefit.
Yeah. And I'm not opposed to that, Randy. I just don't know what that looks like.
All right. Kim, anything else? Anyone else have any questions?
The only other on this was anybody wanting to have any type of public hearing?
We can talk about those, Kim.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, it is a potential. We do have our big public hearing, and sometimes I know Brad has put on, what did you call them? The tours where you went to the places about the budget, things like that, where we went
Yes.
to the senior centers and things. They were not well attended.
They were, no.
Yeah.
So we can, I think if you pull that back to finance, we can talk to that, Kim, more. And,
Okay.
maybe, yeah. And maybe the community members that join may have another avenue that they believe that could help us.
Yes, and it could be a multitude of different ways, but I just wanted to get any early input on what folks had. Then the next one is to just discuss shifting to the two transportation related topics over to legislative committee.
Yes, I think that Keenan has taken notes, and when you schedule your meeting and your agenda, I think you could look at those, Keenan, as he's getting prepared.
Yeah, I do have a lot of information that I've been looking into. I didn't get on the agenda for this meeting. But I hope to have a meeting scheduled within legislative for the next um few weeks or so.
All right, thank you, Keenan. Randy.
I just want to remind this body that although we had approved the Legislative Advocacy Subcommittee to be formed, a formal scope and purpose still has not been presented or voted on, as the one that I tried putting forward was turned down to be brought to the full committee. I'm still waiting to make sure that we have an understanding and a vote on the scope and the purpose of that committee.
Keenan is working on that as well. I see his head shaking. All right. Moving on. Policy, Randy, or Kim, are you good? Anything else?
Yes, I'm good. Unless
All
anyone
right.
has any further questions of me.
All right, policy. Randy.
Okay.
I'm sorry, can I just jump in for 1 second here? This one looks like it's going to be a lot. Can I just propose that we pull item 4 and 5 forward and do those first, and then do policy last?
You can, policy generally goes very, very quickly. A lot of the times we will take all of these at once for first reading.
It
so
usually goes
vote.
really fast, Keenan.
Oh, okay.
You'll see. You'll see here. Go ahead, Randy.
So for people who are new, the process for a policy change is it gets brought to the school committee. We vote in what's called a first reading. And that puts the document up for review from everyone on the school committee, in the school administration and the staff, as well as the communities. It'll be up on the website, and they will have until usually at least 3 weeks, we try, or till the next meeting before we vote them again as a second reading, which would be an adoption at that point in time. Generally in the meetings here, I will go through quickly. If someone has a question specifically on a policy, I can certainly answer it, but all of the first readings I would take in one vote. I would make a motion for that. We have a couple of policies to rescind. That would be a different vote. If we did have any for adoption at this time, that would be a third vote. The majority of these are first reading. I will go very quickly through these as far as real quick, the changes. So IKF and IKFA, graduation requirements and competency determination, these were changed to incorporate the competency determination that the state had us do with the MCAS no longer being able to be a graduation requirement. EFCD was updated just mainly because of the universal meals, and looking at the meal charge, we had a couple of small changes on that. EHAA and EHB are brand new policies that MASC had suggested, and we're bringing to you for review. DKC expense reimbursements, this was simply just clarifying where the distance for reimbursement and mileage originates from. Policy ADDA background checks, this one was adding an additional check with the Department of DCIJS, I forget what all the
Department of Children and Family.
Yeah, Children and Family, thank you. Another check through them for employees. JLCB immunization, again, this was just clarifying a form that is used and language on how to get exemptions. Policy FA facility development goals. This was changed by MASC combined. You'll see the two deletions. Those were basically combined into FA, creating some changes in a new policy. So I will move that the school committee vote for a first reading for policy IKF graduation requirements, policy IKFA competency determination, policy EFCD meal charge policy, Policy EHAA, District Security Relating to Technology. Policy EHB, Data and Records Retention. Policy DKC, Expense Reimbursements. Policy ADDA, Background Checks. Policy JLCB, Immunization of Students, and Policy FA, Facility Development Goals.
I second.
Okay, that was Randy and Lisa. Any more discussion? Anyone have any comments on these? And to the new members, you can comment on these.
Yep.
If you have input.
Right, as well as over the next couple of weeks, feel free, if you read these and you have comments, send those in. That's what this whole period is for anybody to give feedback and comments on these policies.
And the public as well.
The public as well, yes.
All right. Seeing no one's hands, Keenan, Francois.
Yes.
Patrick McPhillips. I saw your motion, yes,
Yes.
but
Yes. Sorry.
Andy Roush?
Yes.
Alexander Bancuti,
Yes.
Jackie White,
Yes.
Lisa Bloom,
Yes.
Craven,
Yes.
and myself, yes. All right, moving on to your next
Yep.
one, Randy.
And then we have two policies that we are looking to rescind. MASC had rescinded these policies, finding them either duplicate or not needed anymore. They combine some of the information into the policy FA, which we have for the changes. So I will move that we vote for policy FA-E, Facilities Development Goals, and policy FB-1, Facility Planning, to be rescinded.
I second.
All right, that is Randy and Lisa. Any discussion? Keenan,
Yes.
Patrick McPhillips,
Yes.
Randy Roush,
Yes.
Alexander Bancuti,
Yes.
Jackie White,
Yes.
Lisa Bloom,
Yes.
Kim Craven,
Yes.
and myself, yes.
The next is the regional agreement. This is something that has been on hold over the last year with everything that's been going on with AES. This process was started for a lot of the new members here. This process was started probably about 3.5 years ago now. Our regional agreement is severely out of date. The last amendment was in 1994, just simply to change the school committee representation back then due to a court order. And before that, any of the substance within the agreement was from 1971 or 2, I think. So we definitely were operating the majority of the agreement on current laws, just taking a precedent over what was in the original agreement. We went about this. We had community groups get together. The attorneys updated a lot of the legal language that we needed in there in the laws. There were a couple of areas that we have control over that are not specifically dictated. A couple of the small changes that we made were a rolling average for the October 1 enrollments in order to do assessments for capital projects versus just the October 1, and trying to take a look at district-wide programs and central office in buildings on how to utilize those to, again, for capital project or capital expenses on how to assess those out to the towns. We were also at the time told that we no longer meet one person, one vote. At that time, we had voted on a configuration of going from what we have now to 4 members from Pepperell, 3 from Townsend, 1 from Ashby, and 1 at-large member. I've recently come across another option that I was not aware of or just did not fully understand at the time that I wanted to bring forward to see if anybody wanted to reconsider the representations that we have. So what I'm proposing, I did send out a document on it. There was an error that I had on that document, so I'm not sure if it got updated in the packet. I am not looking for 4 members from Pepperell, 3 from Townsend, and another 2 from Pepperell. That should have been 2 from Ashby, so I apologize for that typo. But being that we would have all of those members, basically at-large members with town residency requirements. This way we don't have just one at-large. Everyone will vote in all the members. We will have to have 4 from Pepperell, 3 from Townsend, 2 from Ashby. They'll be split up 3, 3, and 3, like we have the elections now. And one other option that we'll have to discuss and see if it's possible with the towns is going to all at-large members also allows us to be able to move the elections from the April elections on the town cycle to the November elections, which are on the state cycle. Thus moving new members not coming in the middle of budget season. So again, I throw these out there for discussion, thought. We don't have to have a vote tonight. You can certainly just have a discussion now and then think on it and come back at the next meeting and decide if we want to propose something different to the DESE. So I open it up for questions.
Okay, before we move on, I want to say we do not have an Ashby representative on the call. And so I don't know if we hold the discussion until we have somebody representing Ashby.
I think we can certainly start the conversation and just not vote tonight. And fill them in on the conversations that we had. We'll have more conversations before we vote at another meeting.
Okay. Randy, I do have a question. Did this pass through legal?
Yes,
did legal look at this?
I have been working with legal on this. And this is an option that is provided by the state that we're allowed to do. I'd have to go back to my email to quote the exact MGL line that gives us this option.
So I'm going to go first with a concern that I have about doing an all at large, because that would be meaning that members, Pepperell could vote for everyone across the board, correct? They can
Yes,
vote for the Ashby.
everyone will vote for all members.
So what could potentially happen is they may not know the Ashby resident and they could write in another candidate or another candidate from Ashby. So Pepperell and Townsend could do this and knock off one of their members that really wants to be on the board. That is a concern of mine. The other concern is blind voting, which I call it blind voting, is when people go in and they have not researched who to be on the committee. That is a concern of mine. And I think it actually takes away from Ashby in that you're handing power to Pepperell and Townsend to decide who technically represents them. So that's my concern about this approach. I don't know what everyone else has or thinks. Anyway, Kim.
So when you look at regionalization, there's different policies and practices in general that you can look at for representation and how representation is done. I'm definitely not in favor of this from a voting perspective. Quite honestly, I don't want to be taking the time to research the members from Ashby or Pepperell as a Townsend voter and then weighing in on my thoughts for their community members. If there's other questions coming out about representation and there's a reason why that I'm not understanding, I think we go on that discussion. But I'm just not in favor of one community having the vote power to unseat somebody that their own community really wants. That to me seems more unbalanced than different numbers of members on the committee. So if we are trying to address representation, I'd like to take a look at other models. And my question would be, how many other regional school districts have all at-large members versus ones that don't?
I don't know how many. I do know I spoke with Blackstone Millville, and they do have the at-large members. They actually have a population of 75% in one of the towns, 25% in the other towns, but they each have, I think it's 4 members from each town voted in as at-large members in that community.
But not all members are at large.
Yes, all of them. They
Okay.
have 8 members on their committee, 4 from Blackstone, 4 from Millville, all voted as at-large members, just town residency requirements.
Keenan.
Thank you for answering that.
Yep, like I said, I know there's others and there's different models. I don't know how many others do it that way.
Keenan. Sorry.
I think I concur with you and Kim on this one. I don't think this is necessarily the wisest idea. And something that hasn't been brought up yet is, say we were to go with this all at-large model and then we were to move to the November cycle. You would on paper see a vast increase in turnout on proper years, so on midterm years and on presidential years. But then you have the off year because these are 3-year terms, and you're probably going to see a substantial lack of voter participation there. In addition to when you have national and state candidates on the ballot, people aren't just simply not going to pay attention to the local voter or to the local representative. I think that's proven fact at this point. And having everything on the April cycle, whilst it's not ideal that it's in budget season, everyone knows our town election has town officials and we are voting on town people. And just like Lisa was saying, with all at-large members, I think it does open the door to having disproportionate power to Townsend and Townsend and Pepperell as the higher population towns, as well as it just makes it far more difficult to put in the thought to researching candidates. With how busy people are, most of the time we only have one person in the ballot in one town, and if we have 2 people on the ballot, it's already hard enough to get enough information on those people, and adding another 3 or 4 names on the same year just doesn't seem beneficial.
Yeah, it would be the same as right now. It would only be 3 members each year, and this model does allow for either the April or November. But I hear you on moving it to the November and worrying about it just kind of getting buried with state and federal elections there.
Randy, have you done any research into, like, say they get elected in April, but their term doesn't start until June 30th or something? Is there a possibility to do that in our regional agreement? You know, like,
ask. Yeah, I can ask. I've never heard of that being done. But I can
that would be
ask the
something,
question.
it gets us past the budget cycle, the June 30th, because the state has to put it out. Yeah, so if there's anything out there that has that, or I can research that as well and see if Jackie White. Whoops, Jackie, you're on mute.
Sorry. Randy, can you go over, maybe you mentioned this again, but the benefit of moving to this structure?
The benefit is basically just trying to get a different, an extra person from Ashby for representation is one of the benefits. The population, the way that the state or the DESE has been trying to figure out how to do one person, one vote, the attorney and I are a little bit at odds with them as far as what actually meets one person, one vote, and they can't give us a solid answer. But basically, it came down to 4-3-1, giving more power on the committee to Pepperell and Townsend, while keeping Ashby still only at 1 member at all possible. There's an at-large member, so theoretically they can get a second that gets voted in, but we rarely have ever had actually an at-large member. I'm not sure if we've ever had an Ashby rep as an at-large member. So this kind of gives them those two members to kind of bring them up and have their representation on the committee a little bit more.
Okay, thank you.
And I also know that we looked at doing a weighted vote, because some school committees do a weighted
Yep.
vote. I also know that at one time we had a proposal to do 13 members on the committee. And so it was a discussion in some of those meetings. All right, Lisa Bloom.
Okay, just want to tell Keenan, so when I ran for school committee, there were 8 candidates, I believe, or 9, that ran. But also, like, so next year there'll be 3 at-large seats open. So we could get 3 Ashby residents that get all 3 seats.
Yep.
But all 3 towns were in a regional district, and I don't feel that an at-large seat should be any different from a regular town seat, because we should all represent all 3 towns the exact same way. So I think it would be important to have 2 representatives from Ashby.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything? Patrick McPhillips.
Is it possible to move them to November? Because I agree that coming in at the end of the fiscal cycle is impossible at best. It was extremely difficult to get caught up, understand what's happening, especially where it's cuts, because out the gate, you're brand new to school committee and you're hated. So if there's a way to kind of, I agree, if we could move it outside of joining as a fiscal year begins and ends, that would be great. I disagree with the 4-3-2-1 approach. As I understand it, have the percentages changed enough for Ashby to even have a full vote? Because I know we voted them up to a full vote, and they weren't supposed to even have that. And then the final thing is,
it was with the weighted voting, Randy.
Okay.
Because it was like they got a 0.8 of the vote, and then we're like, well, it didn't make sense to do a 0.8. We just go to a complete vote, and it was going to be easier to explain to the public instead of having like our budget voted this weighted way. I mean, several school committees do a weighted vote.
Yeah, the weighted votes is a little bit more complicated. You're right. So right now the model that we have that was voted on is a 4-3, 4 from Pepperell, 3 from Townsend, 1 from Ashby, and 1 at-large member is what is currently in the regional agreement that I'm still going back and forth with DESE with to get finalized. I can certainly bring back to the next meeting. I will try and do some research and see if anybody, who has November elections, and maybe talk to those school committees and see about pros and cons. I can try and reach out and see about having a start date after the election to get it out of that cycle, and whether that's even possible. And then we can discuss some of that. But I appreciate the feedback, and I will try and bring more information at the next meeting.
I have one follow-on question. If this is the time or place to discuss it, would be term limits. Because like Lisa said, there's a lot of people that tend to run. I just don't know if term limits, I think like 6 years on and then a term off kind of keeps the board fresh and keeps people focused on the schools and less on the politics.
Yeah, and I would say that a lot of the most stable school committees in the Commonwealth have members that have been on for 15 plus years. I was talking with Marlborough chair, and their youngest member is on for 12 years right now.
Okay.
And they have a very, very effective, very strong school committee there. So I think it really just has more to do with the foundation and the onboarding and the procedures that you follow with continuous improvement that dictate more than trying to be new and learn everything again. And, also it's up to the towns to elect everybody, and if they feel somebody's been on for too long, or they're too political, then the towns have the right to vote them out.
Randy, before we move on, one question. Has this been vetted through the towns, or have town administrators looked at
No,
this,
I
or
have not
towns?
yet. I wanted to see if there was an
Okay.
appetite and what the questions from the school committee were, and then I was gonna reach out to the towns and see how they felt.
All right. Moving, are we done with that discussion?
That's all.
I think we'll move on to the next one. It's with the operations and appointing a chairperson for the operations committee. The suggested, I am going to suggest that Patrick McPhillips be appointed as the chairperson to the subcommittee for the operations. And my feeling is that being a new committee, we need to establish some other people besides myself and Randy to run chairs, work with Robin, administrators, trying to figure out how to set agendas or information that they can pull from each other. So that's why I'm requesting that Patrick McPhillips be the chair of this. Any input from committee before we take a motion? Jackie.
So I'm just learning how this whole subcommittee thing works too, right? My only perspective on this is just coming in knowing that Randy's put a significant amount of work and time into kind of thinking this through and getting it off the ground. So, I'm just mindful of that too. So that's my only consideration.
Thank you, Jackie. Anyone else? Lisa Bloom.
Yes, I agree with Jackie. I believe Randy should be nominated. Thank you.
Anyone else? Kim.
Thank you. I would like to see Patrick chair it. I think that there's a lot of opportunity here for Randy as a senior member to be more of a mentor rather than the leader. And that if we don't start to utilize the opportunities to grow members, we are going to be stuck always relying on members that have been around for a longer amount of time. And while I think there's great validity into past practice and past thoughts, as a member, she would be able to share that information. But having Patrick lead it for me gives a new lens and a new perspective on how to move forward, how to get things going. And so I would like the opportunity to utilize the past experiences in a way to help other members get leadership roles as well.
Patrick.
I just want to say I thought we had a great first meeting. I do appreciate Randy's passion on this topic and her knowledge as being a subcommittee chair and chair before. So I do appreciate working with her on this. So regardless of how the votes end, I plan on continuing to work on this committee with her. I think that it would be good to help develop other candidates or other committee members and develop us for down the road. But I'll leave that up to you guys. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else have anything?
Yeah,
Keenan?
and just I had a quick question. And right now, policy committee, she is chair of policy.
Yes.
Yes. Yep. She's chair of policy. Keenan?
I guess I have the opposite question. Is Patrick, are you currently chairing anything?
No, I am on the finance subcommittee. I've not chaired anything.
Okay.
Any other questions or concerns? Does someone want to make a motion?
I will move that the school committee appoint Patrick McPhillips as chair of the school committee operations subcommittee.
And I would second that.
And Kim will second. All right. That was Keenan and Kim. All right, we'll do a vote. Patrick,
Yes.
Randy,
I'm going to abstain.
Alex, and Cootie,
Yes.
Alexander, thank you. Kim Craven,
Yes.
Jackie White,
Yes.
Lisa Bloom,
No,
Keenan Francois,
Yes.
and myself. Yes. All right, on to the next with the liaisons.
I'd like to say something, Lisa.
Yes.
I'd like to step down from this committee. Whereas I appreciate wanting to develop leadership, simply putting somebody in a chair position is not the best way to do that. I have gracefully led from behind, gracefully lent all of my information for many, many years. I do not feel valued. I do not feel that that I am appreciated, and I just feel this was a passion of mine, and it has been absolutely crushed. The reason why I wanted to chair this particular committee was for the actual purpose of it, and that is you have to have knowledge of what the school committee and how it runs to know what needs to change to go forward. There was a 1-year limit I put on this to try and make some quick change. I'm sure Patrick will do a fabulous job. It's going to take him time to get up to speed, and he's going to take it in the direction that he wants to take it in. So basically, I have for the last 3 years with the job that I've taken on, I have really experienced a fabulous environment that's supportive, that's appreciative, that helps develop you, not necessarily with a title. And so I'm going to step back from this committee. I will have my door open for anybody who chooses to come to me, but I will give you all of my information. I will give you resources, anything I can help you with, but I'm tired of trying to push out the information to everybody and get shot down and get sidelined. So I'm turning the tables. If you need anything from me, I will stay on this committee. I will do my duty. I will try and make it as best as I possibly can, but you're going to have to come to me for that information. Thank you.
May I speak? Is that Randy? I'm
Yes.
sorry you feel that way.
Okay.
I don't know if this subcommittee succeeds without you. I genuinely would love to work with you. I would love to work with you as a mentor. I necessarily don't think that being the chair or not being the chair is going to have an impact on the changes you want to make. I'm willing to work with you. Like, I want to succeed with you. So maybe take the night and think about that. Would that be acceptable?
I
'Cause
appreciate it, Patrick, but this school committee has chosen you as the chair, and I cannot be on this committee not being the chair and having that direction. I was going to more than willing, and actually was in my plans to be developing you and Carrie when she was on here, or whoever, Jackie now that was going to be on here, and give you leadership roles to take this. But this was a last straw, and I am done right now. I will keep the policy. And I will be a good member, and I will attend, and I will review everything, and I will give my opinion, but I can't be on the committee.
sorry you feel that way.
Kim,
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I think there's perspective here, and my comments are not about not appreciating your knowledge or your passion. I can tell you firsthand, the committee that I would have wanted to be on was not necessarily finance, and certainly not chairing it. I would have liked to have been on operations or policy, but only so many people can be in so many places. And so when I see a committee member say, unless I can have this role I don't want to engage, it is very unsettling, because chairing the committee allows somebody to learn new skills. It is a different process. There's things that we have to learn as we go. And if someone doesn't have that opportunity, it doesn't mean that they have a greater voice. It doesn't mean that they have greater knowledge. It doesn't mean that they have all the capacity. What it means is that person is having a different level of contribution to the committee. And the more that we can learn and grow in different roles, and sometimes roles that we don't necessarily want, we are doing that for the good of the order and not the good of ourselves. So, I would love to be in policy. I would love to be in operations, but there were other people. And quite honestly, Randy, you had more skills in operation when it comes to school committee. And so when we were setting these, I didn't ask for that, because I felt like your background was appropriate for that committee. But giving someone the chair does not diminish your contributions or your knowledge. It is giving someone else the active opportunity to lead. And I would hope that all of us sit back and want to contribute in every way, whether it's the exact way that we envisioned or not. And I'm really sorry that you have hurt feelings, because I don't think that is the intention of anyone. And I noticed earlier, and we didn't discuss it, but you decided to step away from another area where you had wanted that position, and you changed, you now have pulled out of that position as well. And so I have to reflect and say, is this the same thing? Because you didn't get the exact appointment that you want out of it. And I won't go into why it was a decision made at the meeting of who I voted for school committee chair. But now I'm seeing in 2 meetings, if it's not exactly how you want it, you're stepping away. And I think that's really unfortunate for the time, energy, and effort that you've put in your years of school committee. And I think that it's a disservice to our community. And I'm really sorry that you feel that way.
I appreciate your comments, Kim. And this is a lot more than just the last couple of weeks or months. As far as stepping down from the finance subcommittee, that was a choice that I made to make room for some of the newer members to join that committee, because that's a very important committee. They need the experience on there, as well as I saw it as a teaching opportunity and a chance to see a side that I have not seen in a little while, always being on the finance subcommittee, and that is to be able to evaluate recommendations coming out of the finance subcommittee, to be able to make sure that the information coming to the full committee from there is everything that we're supposed to be getting, to show the members that are not on the finance at the moment on how to ask questions and how to evaluate and go that way. That is why I stepped down from the finance subcommittee. It was not because it wasn't going my way. Okay.
But you also stepped down as vice chair today.
I stepped down as vice chair.
So it was 2 in this meeting, plus your finance committee one. And
yes,
again,
and I stepped down as the vice chair right now.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, I don't want to interject here. I think emotions are high. We're almost going on 4 hours here. And I think it's just good to table agenda item 5 and make an motion to adjourn for tonight.
I second that motion.
Okay,
Thank you.
we have a motion on the floor to, is it to table?
To adjourn
Or
for
to
the night.
adjourn?
To adjourn.
To adjourn. All right, it's a motion to adjourn for the night. And it was Keenan and Alexander. Patrick,
Yes.
Alexander,
Yes.
Keenan,
Yes.
Lisa Bloom,
Yes.
Jackie White,
Yes.
Kim Craven.
I would say no. I think this has been an undercurrent of this committee before I got on. And at some point it has to be figured out. So personally, I'm a no. Yes, it is late, but the democratic process wins. So
Randy.
It doesn't really make it. I'll abstain. We'll adjourn the meeting.
I will adjourn as well. Or yes, we'll adjourn. We'll come back to another meeting. All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.